Community Safety and Transport MEC Wessels Morueng says they are yet to receive a report about the assessment conducted on Friday at Shaft 11 in Stilfontein. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Top story is a couple of trucks that have collided in the central Escort area. The roadway to Durban is currently blocked and traffic is being stacked. So if you're on your way down to Durban, you've come over Van Riemann, you're approaching Escort, take the Escort North exit and do a reroute through town centre, pop out the other side to keep yourself moving through there. A reminder, if you missed this yesterday, it will be another busy run south on Pretoria's N1 south down towards the sinkhole restrictions at the R21. That additional lane close you pushed yesterday's peak out back to Stormful Road in the morning and back to sort of Atterbury Linwood in the afternoon. So it is a problem scheduled to stay like that until the 1st of December. And the N1 North through Dipcliffe interchange down Uncle Charlie's, already quite a backlog of slow go traffic there. Cape Town raining again this morning. Rain came in yesterday. It's with us today and into tomorrow as well. So maybe just play it safe. Give yourself a little bit of extra time to get through the wet weather conditions. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
A very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's cricket with the South Africans dominating the IPL auction. Kagiso Rabada bagging 23 million and the veteran Faf du Plessis finding a new home with the Delhi Capitals. And we also bring you the Blitzbokke. They lose Ronald Brown for the series opener. Details around 6:30.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Today is Tuesday, the 26th of November, 2024, and it's just gone 8 minutes after 6. Good morning, South Africa. This is the Morning Brief on SAFM. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane, and I'm here to deliver it to you. Over the next 3 hours, we'll seek to not only tell you what is happening, but also what it means to you and how it's shaping your world. We'll have newsmaker interviews, expert analysis, and of course, a good dose of perspectives of the broader SAFM community. There are two stories before we get started that are dominating my mind this morning, and I'd like to place them on our agenda, on our common agenda this morning. I'll start with the quarterly crime statistics, and that is for the period the months from the 1st of July to the 30th of September this year, and these were released, as you know, yesterday by the police minister and the police top brass. So what I want to say about this is that if you look at the SAPS crime stats presentation from yesterday, you'll immediately notice that most of the crime categories are color-coded green, signaling that compared to the same period last year, they have come down. So that's the essence of the, when you see the categorization of the various crimes, you will see that most of them are color-coded green, green indicating that they are coming down. And that is a good thing in most respects. So it's a good thing in most respects. So murder is in the green block, down 5.8%. Sexual offenses in the green block, 2.5% down. Robbery with aggravating circumstances, down a whopping 8.8%. Common robbery down 6.2%. But then, if you zoom in on the details and you start looking at the other categories, some disturbing trends do emerge. While murder is down, attempted murder and assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm are up quite significantly. So if you know and you understand how these crimes work, you'll know that they are on the same spectrum. That is murder on the one end, assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm, and attempted murder on the other end of the spectrum. So the only difference is that, in murder, the person ends up being dead. So while murder is down by some 400 cases, for example, compared to the same period last year, assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm is up by some 424 people that were victims of this kind of assault that could well have ended up dead, but thankfully survived. So that tells you a bit of a picture. The safety of the person, certainly not something that you can say is guaranteed in our society at the moment. And here's the real kicker for me in the detail. Crimes like murder and attempted murder committed against women, those are actually up. So while we are talking about murder being down, murder with women and children being victims, those are actually up. 76 more women were killed in the reporting period, and that is a total of 957 in those 3 months, compared to 881 in the same period last year. 53 more women were victims of attempted murder, which is a total of some 1,567. So the last trend that I want to highlight is stations like Inanda, Philippi East, and Gwazakele continue to top the charts in the wrong way, in the wrong sense of the word when it comes to murder. So the question from me to you then this morning is, the SAPS categories are showing green, but are you feeling any safer? Are you feeling any safer? Were you feeling any safer in the reporting period compared to how you felt last year? I'm certainly not, and that is not informed by me having been a victim of crime in that reporting period, or indeed over the past year. Thankfully not, but I just don't have this sense that I'm safe. I keep saying that I remain convinced that we are all victims, just waiting for our number to be up. Give me a call. I'll take your calls on the number 086 000 2032. I'll also take your WhatsApp voice notes. You can send those to 061 410 4107. The other issue on my mind this morning, of course, is the Constitutional Court case that has been brought by the EFF and the African Transformation Movement, the ATM. That case will be heard today. It is about Parliament's impeachment rules and their application or otherwise in the matter involving the President's conduct around the Phala matter. So in essence, basically, the EFF and the ATM are going to the Constitutional Court to argue that the National Assembly failed in its duty to hold the President accountable when its majority, a majority of the National Assembly, voted against adopting the independent panel report on the Phala matter, and therefore ended the intended impeachment process against President Cyril Ramaphosa before it could even begin. So I look forward to hearing the arguments on both sides, what the National Assembly and the other parties will be putting up in response to the case that will be put up by the EFF. We certainly can do with some clarity around these matters. Prima facie finding that of wrongdoing, is it sufficient, and does it necessarily bind Parliament to say you have to then see it through to a process and a committee of impeachment? You can't back out using a majority vote, tempering that majoritarianism in our system. Democratic hygiene and accountability, always important conversations. Weigh in on that and other issues on the numbers that I've given you, 086 000 2032, as well as your WhatsApp voice notes to 061 410 4107. All of your regulars locked and loaded, and Musa with your news updates every half hour, Rob Byrne with your traffic every 15 minutes or so, Zaikan watching your sport throughout the morning, Ndauleng Lechela has your economics, business and market news covered, Sipho Mantula with your Africa update just before 8 a.m. And as I said, I'll take your calls through it all. This is SAFM. We are leading the conversations that move us. The first hour of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief starts now.
The Daily News Diary on SAFM.
Anne, good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulas.
I have my eyes fixated on Constitution Hill this morning for that court case that's taking place, and I imagine it's dominating your headlines this morning.
So do I. So the Constitutional Court will today hear the EFF's bid to challenge Parliament's decision to not adopt the Section 89 panel report into Phala. So the EFF will argue that the 6th Democratic Parliament acted irrationally by not referring it to the Impeachment Committee. And as the Constitutional Court hears the EFF's bid to revive the Phala matter, the EFF will also be marching to the Con Court. Other stories that we are looking at, especially in court this morning, the 6 accused in the Lusikisiki massacre are due to appear in the local court for the first time together today, and they are all facing 18 charges of murder and possession of unlicensed firearms. 15 women and 3 men were gunned down. a case with huge public interest. Also, we're expecting some marches planned outside, or protests planned outside of court. And then the case against the 5 men accused of murdering Bafana Bafana captain Senzo Mehiwa resumes in the High Court in Pretoria, where the lead investigator, Brigadier Bongani Gininda, is expected to continue under cross-examination by the defense. And the crime stats released yesterday, police have recorded a decrease in some of the country's priority crimes in the second quarter. These include murder, rape and robberies at residential and non-residential premises. So today, the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, will be reflecting on policing activities there from the 1st of August this year to date. He will also touch on the operations for the festive season. We also have analysis and reaction on the crime stats that was revealed. We also heard the Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu, saying that illegal mining remains a significant threat in the country, and he also welcomed the dismissal of an application in which the Society for the Protection of Our Constitution seeked relief for the suspected illegal miners. So we are still monitoring developments at Shaft 10 and 11 in Stilfontein after illegal miners started coming to the surface at Shaft 10. And just lastly, the Human Rights Commission in Limpopo is holding a 3-day conference on farm killings and violation of rights of the farming communities. And recently, 2 women were shot and killed and their bodies disposed in a pigsty, allegedly by a farmer and his workers outside of Polokwane. So some of the stories that we will be focusing on.
All right, thank you for that. That's Ann Musa. She'll keep you updated on the news every half hour here on The Morning Brief.
Thulasizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
At 17 minutes after 6, let's get you ready for the day ahead. The weather looks like this. You have 3 impact-based warnings. The first one, a yellow level 2 warning. It says severe thunderstorms leading to damage or loss of infrastructure, settlements both formal and informal, property, vehicles, livelihood and livestock, as well as large amounts of small hail and excessive lightning across the southern region of the eastern half of the Eastern Cape, as well as the southern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. There's a yellow level 2 warning for strong winds leading to damage to infrastructure, as well as difficult driving conditions, which are expected over the southern parts of the Free State, that is Harib, and extreme southeastern parts of the Northern Cape. Then you have a warning for, it's a yellow level 1 warning for damaging waves leading to difficulty in navigation at sea, and that is expected along the coast between Cape Columbine and Plettenberg Bay. Then 1 fire danger warning. It says extremely high fire danger conditions are expected over the eastern parts of the Northern Cape, Central Free State, northeastern parts of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the southwestern bushveld of Limpopo. The rest of your weather looks like this. Pretoria is partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 18 to 32. Johannesburg, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 18 to 33. Mbombela, fine, 17 to 34. Polokwane, fine, 17 to 32. Mahikeng will be fine, becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon with isolated showers and thunder showers, 18 to 34. Bloemfontein, partly cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 18 to 34. Kimberley will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 16 to 35. Cape Town, cloudy with isolated showers, 13 to 20. George, cloudy with isolated showers in the morning, becoming partly cloudy, 15 to 22. Gqeberha, cloudy with isolated showers and rain, 17 to 23. East London will be partly cloudy, becoming cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 16 to 23. Durban will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 23 to 28. Richards Bay is partly cloudy, 23 to 33. And finally, Pietermaritzburg will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 21 to 31.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 Rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. Flysafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Yeah, let's focus on Pakistan now. Events unfolding in that country. Thousands of supporters of that country's imprisoned former Prime Minister Imran Khan have marched towards Islamabad, the capital, that is on Monday. The supporters are defying a citywide lockdown while demanding Khan's release amid growing political tensions in the country. At least one police officer was killed and 70 others injured during clashes with protesters near Islamabad, according to officials there. For more on that story, I'm joined on the line by Thembisa Fagute, who is a senior research fellow for Africa-Asia Dialogues. Good morning to you, Thembisa, and thank you for your time. What's behind this protest? I mean, I know that the demand is for the release of Imran Khan, but what are the underlying issues that the protests reveal about Pakistani society?
Well, it is Imran Khan that is called for his supporters to march to Islamabad and shut down basically the city because of the accusation that he has of the elections being rigged, but at the same time calling for his own release and putting pressure on the government to do so. Currently, Imran Khan, who's a former Prime Minister, has been in jail for the past year on various charges, including corruption, bribery, etc. But the one, of course, that's very ridiculous is the illegal marrying of his current wife, Bushra Bibi. So that has also got him into hot waters because the Pakistani authorities believe that it was an illegal marriage, and as a result, it deserved to be in jail, notwithstanding, of course, that is one of the senior political leaders in that country, and he was supposed to participate in the elections, and his party was barred from using its own organization to participate, encouraging many of his supporters to stand as independents.
So he remains a popular figure, doesn't he, Imran Khan, in Pakistani politics?
He's a popular figure, he's a loved figure. You remember him, he's a cricket player, former, inverted commas, playboy. He was appreciated everywhere around the world, including the UK, etc. So he's a very, very popular figure. Politically, he's done very well. His party, or the independent members of his party who stood for elections in the previous government elections, won a landslide. But of course, they couldn't form the government by themselves, which led to the coalition government that's currently leading Pakistan.
Tell me about his opponent, his main opponent, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. When we say Imran Khan remains a popular figure, what does that make the Prime Minister and his government and their handling of the protests around the arrest of and detention of Imran Khan?
Well, the Sharif brothers are more of a political dynasty in Pakistan, and they'll continue to do so, but they are not as popular, and that was shown and evident from the previous elections. They couldn't win hands down. And if Imran Khan was out, he could have easily, many believe, given that the independents who couldn't participate as a bloc of the PTT, which is a Pakistan party led by Imran Khan, would have won these elections. It shows you that Imran Khan remains a very popular figure. And the fact that they continue incarcerating him and making him even much more popular, not only in Pakistan, by the way, because he has kind of embraced a Muslim cause, fighting for Muslim causes and minorities in Kashmir and other places inside India, including the Middle East. He was quite vocal on issues of Palestine, etc. So he's quite a popular figure and sees himself as trying to revive and resuscitate the political Islam, which Pakistan, by the way, has used it to further its own political positioning within the global Muslim community.
What does the detention of Imran Khan tell us, Thembisa, in the context of the history of Pakistan, the circumstances around Benazir Bhutto, for example, and Pervez Musharraf as well, another former leader of Pakistan, it seems to me that there's a kind of a pattern here that we're seeing continuing to play itself out in as far as the security of the person and freedoms of key political figures, sometimes in the opposition, especially in the opposition, but also once you've left office and you're no longer prime minister.
Yeah, well, there's always been problems since the formation of Pakistan in 1947, and many people believe that democracy is not necessarily the political outfit that could be used to govern Pakistan, because there's never been peace in that country. People have been killed, there have been coups, there's been military leadership ever since. So the deep state, which is led and maintained by the military, will never leave power in Pakistan, and it will always push back on democratic principles. The fact that you have a popular figure such as Imran Khan charged with illegally marrying his wife, that tells you that there's a problem in that country. And until there are institutions of democracy that seek to push back the deep state, which is largely controlled by the military, you are likely to have whoever leads Pakistan or elected as a prime minister of Pakistan facing the challenges if he doesn't agree with the objectives and aims of the military. And unfortunately, that's the situation. And India, of course, is taking advantage of this, because India is quite happy to see a destabilized Pakistan for its own political purpose.
Yeah, and that has to do with the history of how Pakistan was formed in the first place and the frosty relations that have existed ever since, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed. Pakistan, well, there are a lot of similarities, by the way, with South Africa as well, because 1947 is quite a key year. It was the formation of Israel, it was the formation of the apartheid state of South Africa, plus Pakistan. So the world was trying to kind of, compromise on religious sectors and political forces that were influenced by religion around the world, by creating these stands or countries, including South Africa, in order to take care of these radical religious bigots. And unfortunately, what has been happening is that didn't help the situation, but instead encouraged more conflict. And I'm sure one day we'll have time to talk about it, Tulas. But we find ourselves in this situation because Pakistan was actually created to appease the Muslim community, and Israel was created to appease the Jewish community. In South Africa, they thought it was going to appease the Christian community.
So let me just ask you, Tembisa, then to draw parallels with the protests that we saw not far from Pakistan in Bangladesh. These protests playing themselves out in August, I think, around August this year. They led to the ouster of the prime minister there. And I know that it's hard to draw parallels because the political dynamics may be slightly nuanced and different. But when the prime minister in Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, looks at the protests playing themselves out in Pakistan, will he be drawing lessons and perhaps just monitoring and remembering the key lessons that came just a few months ago in those protests in Bangladesh?
No, I don't think so. I think Sheikh Hasina was in deep trouble. I mean, Sheikh Hasina was the former prime minister of Bangladesh. She was in trouble because of, very, very corrupt state and administration. One. Number two is the military in Bangladesh can never be compared to the military in Pakistan. The military in Pakistan basically owns Pakistan, and they decide what will happen in Pakistan. And as long as you are backed by the military, no one can survive the military strength and might of Pakistan. So I don't see anything similar happening in Pakistan in terms of toppling the current leadership, unless, of course, the current leadership goes against the military in the country as it stands.
No, I hear you. So, but it's safe to say that there's a fair amount of discontent, at least within the populace, while perhaps the military may be able to keep a lid on it at the moment.
Well, at the moment, it's touch and go. I mean, people are still being encouraged to go en masse to Islamabad. And we know that a lot of other caravans that are moving from different cities in Pakistan after the call that was made by Imran Khan. So it's a very tense situation. By the way, as I've already stated earlier on, the majority of those that won the elections were independents members who stood as independents from the PTT, which is a Pakistani party that's led by Imran Khan. That one will argue that it's a majority of the Pakistanis. So if that's the case, and if this lockdown continues, there's going to be a collapse of a lot of other things, and I think there's going to be violence. And once violence, of course, occurs, you are likely to have forced political changes, as it has happened in other countries in the region, including, as you correctly put it, in Bangladesh.
Sure. Tembisa, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. That's Tembisa Fagute there, who is a Senior Research Fellow for Africa-Asia Dialogues. Bringing us to 6:30, let's check in with N. Musa now with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, the Constitutional Court is today expected to hear the EFF's application against the Speaker of the National Assembly over the Section 89 panel report regarding the Phala matter. The Northwest Community Safety and Transport MEC Wessels Murweng says they are yet to receive a report about the assessment conducted on Friday at Shaft 11 in Stilfontein. And the South African Human Rights Commission report on the state of service delivery in the Free State has revealed that the province has the highest number of bucket toilets in the country. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very busy around Pretoria this morning. There's two major incidents. One is a crash on the N4. This is the Emelathleni Highway at the N1. So that is pushing traffic back through Watermeyer Street and looking quite heavy. And the N1, the sinkhole repairs that we've been detailing, always worth keeping you up to date there, just to sort of reinforce with you the knowledge of how bad this is. Traffic into the R21 using the N1 South already back to Garsfontein. It'll just work back through Atterbury, through Linwood, back to the N4, and possibly, as we saw yesterday, back to Storham for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are your sort of peak travel days, particularly in the middle of that Wednesday. So what we saw yesterday could be a lot worse over the next few days. The closures there until the 1st of December. Also, crash R21 onto the R24 at the airport, and the N1 North coming up from Eldos and Devlin. Big traffic there up towards a crash scene on the side of the carriageway just before the Deep Cliff interchange. If you're on your way at the N1 and want to swing through to Uncle Charlie's, that's the problem. Looks heavy. Key Ridge, Cliffdale on your way up to Pietermaritzburg. Had a broken down truck around Key Ridge, but I think that cleared. There may well be another one. Very heavy backlogs getting up to Cliffdale this morning. Truck crash at Hilton. So if you're on your way from Howick into Pietermaritzburg, Durban bound, there's some queuing pressure into that scene. And a truck crash in the Central Escort area causing quite a heavy backlog as well on the N3 Durban bound carriageway. That section of the N3 currently blocked across both lanes with that truck crash. Cape Town, a bit of rain in the mix this morning. Rain continuing through the day and into tomorrow as well. Baden-Powell, slow towards Strandfontein Road. M7, R300, both of those routes. Alan Mitchell's playing, queuing towards Samora Michelle. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you, Zai. So it would seem everyone wants a piece of KG and Faf du Plessis.
Oh, and it appears that his bowling isn't just deadly, it's profitable too.
Absolutely.
23 million. Faf is 40. And he gets picked.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is South Africans. They are just, I don't know, earning mega bucks at the IPL auction taking place in Saudi Arabia. Kagiso Rabada is leading the pack. The Gujarat Titans, they snapped him up for a jaw-dropping 23 million rand, cementing his status as one of the world's premier fast bowlers. David Miller joined the Lucknow Super Giants for 16 million rand. Marco Janssen impressed with a staggering 14.9 million deal. And Faf du Plessis wasn't left behind, going to the Delhi Capitals for 4.2 million rand. And young star Kwena Mapaka making waves, securing his spot with the Rajasthan Royals. Now some cricket action where the Australian captain Pat Cummins has warned his teammates that there'll be plenty of conversations following their 295-run loss to India in the opening test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Cummins acknowledged the team's preparations leading up to the match was good, but nothing seemed to go right during the game.
You sit in the change room after a loss like that and it hurts. You know, when a team declares on you, it's never an amazing feeling. So we've all been in these situations before. It's the nature of being professional sport, you're going to lose some games. So, the biggest challenge and the biggest, the most important thing is how do you bounce back? What's your next move? So that's what we've got to do this week. We're clearly well off the mark. There's a lot to work on.
Let's go to rugby, where the Blitzboks have been dealt a late blow with the injury-enforced withdrawal of Ronald Brown from the opening 7 Series tournament in Dubai this weekend. The Springbok Sevens team left Cape Town for Dubai yesterday with the belief in their objectives for the new season and the knowledge that teamwork and work ethic will be non-negotiable. Sean Williams has now been called up as the role as sweeper. Soccer, Orlando Pirates finalizing preparations in Algiers, Algeria for their CAF Champions League Group C game against CR Belouizdad. A tough match awaits the Southern African team tonight to face one of the best teams in Algeria over the last 4 years. Pirates has won the CAF Champions League, and that was in 1995, and are one of only 2 South African teams, along with Mamelodi Sundowns, to win the competition. Now, Sundowns, they'll welcome Maniema to Loftus Versfeld Ground at 6 p.m. tonight, while Al Ahly will begin their CAF Champions League title defence against the Ivorian club Stade d'Abidjan. Elsewhere, Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. will miss his side's Champions League game against Liverpool after sustaining a hamstring injury. Madrid, who are 18th in the 36-team Champions League table, travel to Anfield tomorrow to face the table-topping Liverpool. Elsewhere, Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen are dealing with several injury concerns ahead of tonight's Champions League home game against RB Salzburg. And finally, motorsport, the American car manufacturer Cadillac will become the 11th team on the Formula One grid in 2026 after the sports owners announced they had given their backing to the plan. Formula One said it reached an agreement in principle with General Motors, which owns Cadillac, to support bringing a team into the paddock. The cars are expected to be powered by Ferrari before it develops its own engines. That's a wrap. More sport, top of the hour. For SAFM, I'm Zai Khan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Yeah, the first of 3 updates by Ndauling Lechela. Ndauling, let's start with this story. I openly admit that I had no idea that there was such a thing as still making coal. So steel making coal, I didn't associate coal with steel making, but here we are. You're telling us about Anglo American selling its steel making coal business.
That's right, Silas. And, Anglo American making way with its restructuring plan, looking to dump its coal, PGM, and diamond assets to focus on copper, crop nutrients, and iron ore. And as you mentioned, in a move that supports the plan, the miner has agreed to sell its Australian steel-making coal mines to Peabody Energy for about $3.77 billion. The transaction includes an upfront payment of $2 billion, a deferred payment of $725 million, and potential earnouts of up to $1 billion. The sale is subject to certain regulations and is expected to be completed by the 3rd quarter of next year. In addition to this transaction, Anglo American is progressing with its portfolio transformation, including the demerger of Amplats and the sale of its nickel business. The company is also focused on delivering cost savings and improving operational efficiencies across its remaining businesses. Company CEO Duncan Wan Blond said the group expects to deliver at least $800 million in pre-tax recurring cost benefits from 2025 onwards as it continues to simplify the business and focus on those core operations.
Tell me about Barloworld's bottom line. You're saying that tough conditions in this country and in Russia are weighing on that bottom line.
Starting off with, the Russian unit, the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has prompted, a number of companies to exit Russia. However, while many businesses have chosen to abandon their Russian operations, others have opted to stay, continuing to operate in the country despite challenges posed by the Kremlin's leadership. And Barloworld, one of those companies opting to stay in Russia. In its recent earnings, the group recorded lower revenue and profit, with its Russian business really struggling. Revenue there declined by 22% amid prolonged sanctions and a shrinking market market. The group also experienced pressure in its Southern Africa equipment business, including the local business, where revenue fell 13%, largely due to a 27% drop in machine sales. But the company says the decrease was anticipated as it aligns with the natural cycle of fleet replacement in the mining industry. And of course, we had a number of miners struggling with lower commodity prices, so they weren't spending as much on buying new equipment. The star performer was its Mongolian unit, where the top line surged 65%. Now, Barloworld operates in Africa, Russia, Mongolia, supplying industrial and mining equipment. Its subsidiary, Ingrain, produces starch and glucose ingredients for the food industry. Now, that unit, the Ingrain unit, delivered improved results. In addition to that, we saw the Mongolian unit also performing well. This combined success then enabled Barloworld to increase its dividend despite their overall profit dropping.
So please give us an update then on Asian markets as well as the close on the US markets and the JSE.
So global markets kicked off the week on a high. In the US, a broad stock rally pushed the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and small cap focused Russell 2000 index to new record highs in yesterday's close. We're seeing optimism returning as investors bet on President-elect Donald Trump's choice for Treasury Secretary. The mood, however, was different here at home, with stocks closing in the red. The all-share shed just over 0.8%, fueled by declines in the Resources 10 complex, down 2.68%. The rand starting the day on the back foot from about the 1804 level yesterday to 1808 to the dollar this morning. This as sentiment around emerging markets sours, the downbeat mood filtering through to Asia as well. Equities outside of China declining following Trump's announcement yesterday that he would impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China on his first day in office. So jitters all around.
Yeah, we're already there. He did say that his favorite word in the dictionary is tariff. Darling Lichella, the first of 3 of her updates. She's got her eyes on the money and will keep you updated throughout the show here on the Morning Brief.
2016 champs Kabuyelo Masandawana want to kick off their group stage campaign on a high note, while the Greens and Blacks of DRC want to illustrate how they made it to this level for the first time in history. This is the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience awesome vibes of African football. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus AS Manyema Union this Tuesday, 26 November at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC2 and also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
17 minutes to 7 here on SAFM. The Road Traffic Management Corporation, RTMC, is warning over 1.6 million drivers in South Africa to renew their vehicle license discs before the end of the year. According to the National Traffic Information System, NATIS, over 600,000 vehicle license discs will be expiring at the end of November, and a further 1 million will expire before the end of December 2024. The RTMC has also warned that motorists, that officials will increase patrolling as the country enters the festive season. Let's welcome the RTMC's spokesperson, that is Simon Zwane, to tell us more about that development. Good morning to you, Simon. So just give me a sense then, you're looking at the figures from your end of the NATIS system, and you are picking up that there's a large number of discs that are up for renewal. Is this higher than usual, or is this par for the cause around this time of year?
No, it is par for the cause around this time of the year, and we would have already by now sent reminders to all of these motorists, especially those who are registered on the notice for the renewal of their vehicle discs. We send them 2 reminders. The reminders would go together with the forms that they must fill, just to make it easy for them to renew online.
So you are putting out the numbers of 1.6 million before the end of the year that need to be renewed. What is your sense of compliance with these renewal updates, at the time at which they are due for renewal?
The renewal rate is actually high, but around this time of the year, people tend to slack off because they prioritize other things. They prioritize their traveling, booking their hotels and all of that. So that's why we're saying they can renew now and to avoid disappointment along the roads as they go on their holidays.
Yeah. So tell me about the consequences then, where someone fails to heed the call that you are making. You are talking tough, and you're talking about increased patrolling across the country as we enter the festive season. How will that manifest differently from, you and I know that some people will disregard all of that and continue to drive even when the license disc is expired.
Yeah, there will be traffic fines for those traveling with expired discs, but in addition there will be areas that are added onto the fee. So renewing later is much more expensive than doing it on time. So it's not advisable for people to ignore the messages that we have sent them.
All right, thank you for that. That is Simon Zwane there. He speaks on behalf of the Road Traffic Management Corporation, the RTMC, warning motorists to renew their license discs as they become due for renewal, especially ahead of the festive season.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
So let me take 1 or 2 voice notes before we get a traffic update. Let's start with this one. I wonder what it's about. It's about the food quality checks. You and I know we've been concerned about food quality and the possibility of contamination of food with toxins with the deadly results that we have seen. Let's listen to this voice note now.
Good morning, Thulas and the SFM listeners. I got a short question to ask. Why does the government not using the artificial intelligence to identify all the goods that are being sold in shop? Let's say they will just have to use their cell phone to scan the brands that are being sold in both shops and informal trade so that they can verify what is fake or not, what is legit or not just check the expiring date, because the expiring date can be a man-made thing written by hand, but if they scan the barcode, it can verify the product itself and the price and where it's founded, Brandma by Protection. Thank you for the great show.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great suggestion in my view. The incorporation of technology. We talk big on incorporating technology in our approach to governance and government. Here's an example of how that can be applied, and I wonder to what extent it has the technology has improved to enable officials to do that. If it hasn't, perhaps now is the time for that technology to take some leaps forward to solve real life problems that we face in our society. Let me take a call from Vusi in Mapetla. Good morning to you, Vusi. You want to talk to me about what you're calling taxi thugs who are stopping the MMC from addressing you. What's that about?
Correct, yes. This area via an issue, they had a meeting, they invited the MMC, and then I believe right now, because they dismissed him from the meeting, this kids love approach, it needs to stop now, where there's disrespect for our government and processes, and the taxi industry thugs should apologize because they said they wanted to meet with the mayor. It can't be business as usual for these taxi thugs to continue with their conduct in disrespecting us as the community first and also our government.
What's
So I
thuggish?
believe that.
Sorry, Vusi.
Hello?
Just for clarity, what's thuggish about their behavior? What did they do?
No, they always wanted to get the best. They want things to go their way. They disregard, as you know, even on the roads, they walk on the, yellow line. They do everything as they like. It's like they are the bosses of the JMPD and so on. So now the rule of law must come. These people must be taught on how to be able to do the things the right way, and they cannot disrespect our officials, our government in the process of negotiating and always they want to win.
Yeah.
It can't be.
I hear
it can't
you.
be.
Okay,
Yes.
Vusi. Thank you for that. That's Vusi in Mapetla in Soweto. Let me take a call from Patrick in Pietermaritzburg. Good morning to you, Patrick. You want to talk to me about radicalization and how you're saying it kills. Tell me a bit more.
Yes. Thulasizwe, there was a disturbing security expert that came on the radio a while back, and he was talking about there were some mosques in Joburg that were training young children to become suicide bombers. And I just wish you could just continue to investigate that, Thulasizwe. The reason why I'm saying that is because of the situation in the world today. The spread of Islam and the spread of ISIS and all these people that are causing havoc in the world. So even in our own country, that this could possibly be happening, that this could be used as a training place for these people. So, Thulasizwe, is it possible that the security cluster or the security people can do further investigation?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's a worthwhile thread to pull at, Patrick. Let me give you that. But I just want to engage you on one thing. The spread of Islam, you and I have to agree, that's not the problem. It's radicalization as well as, the perversion of the religion of Islam. That's where the problem lies.
And I'm just concerned about Africa, Thulasizwe. The African people are very cultural people. They're very proud people. They must not allow these people to spread their ideology into this African culture. Please, Thulasizwe.
All right, thank you for that. That's Patrick in Pietermaritzburg there, raising issues of radicalization. Let's get a quick update now from Rob Byrne.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Just a reminder, two major backlogs around Pretoria this morning. One is a crash on the N4, Emilafeni Highway at the N1. That has pushed a heavy queue back through Watermeyer and back towards Rousseau Street. N1 South still queuing heavily from Atterbury Road. As you line up down towards the R21, that queue will get worse over the next hour. Absolutely no doubt about that. Crash on the R21, link onto the R24. So coming through from, the airport area, passing the airport on the R21 south towards that R24 exit is all backed up. And some heavy pressure in from Protea Glen, passing Lenasia up towards Eldorado Park, the N12, queuing through the Klipspruit Valley Road exit. Now, if you're Durban bound this morning on the N3, a couple of problems working through KZN. Big truck crash at Escort in the central Escort area. That is heavy. And then you've got another truck crash at Hilton. So from Howick down to Pietermaritzburg, some hold-ups there. N3 going towards Pietermaritzburg at Cliffdale. Looks like there's probably a breakdown. It's very heavily backed from Key Ridge. Traffic is literally standing. There is a breakdown confirmed on the eastbound Durban-bound carriageway, so that's slow, but the bigger delay by quite some distance on the Pietermaritzburg side. And if you're driving into Cape Town on the busy N2 from Khayelitsha, there's been a crash just before the R300. That is pushing traffic queues back through to Spine Road. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Adventure awaits on Tropical Island of Treasure Zanzibar, South Africa's SAFTA award-winning reality show, Saturday evenings at 7:30 on S3. Follow the journey of 7 celebs as they team up with 7 loyal fans and influencers to compete in a series of grueling physical and mental challenges. The beach is hot, but the treasure is even hotter, with more than R1 million in prizes up for grabs. Tropical Island of Treasure Zanzibar, Saturday evenings at 7:30. Repeat Fridays at 6 and Monday at 2 p.m. Only on S3.
Mzansi, harmful behaviors that lead to gender-based violence and femicide must be unlearned and replaced with positive and respectful actions. Positive actions begin at home with little things: how we speak, how we act, and how we handle conflict. It's about understanding that respect is a non-negotiable right for everyone. We can break the cycle of gender-based violence and femicide, and we must start now. I am Thulasizwe Simelane, Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I encourage every South African to join in the fight to end gender-based violence beyond the 16 Days of Activism campaign. A gender-based violence and femicide-free South Africa is possible.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
To this important story now, the Constitutional Court will this morning hear arguments from lawyers representing the economic freedom fighters and the African Transformation Movement on whether the National Assembly failed to hold President Cyril Ramaphosa accountable when it dismissed an independent panel report that had found that he may have prima facie breached the law and his oath of office. The matter was brought forward by the EFF and is supported by the ATM, which was also the party that had initiated the Section 89 proceedings, impeachment processes against the president. Let's speak to Vuyo Zungula, who is the president of the African Transformation Movement. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for your time. So tell me the essence of your case. I understand it to be you are unhappy with the manner in which the independent panel report did not proceed from the National Assembly consideration stage to a impeachment committee stage. Why does that unsettle you as a party?
Well, of the view, Thulasizwe, that Parliament must act in line with the Constitution. The Constitution mandates the National Assembly to scrutinize the actions of the executive. That is Section 42 of the Constitution. On Section 5 of the Constitution, it dictates that Parliament must hold the President accountable. Now, once there is evidence of wrongdoing, which we as a party, we wrote to the Speaker to say there is allegations against the President. Can you refer this to an independent panel? The independent panel is basically experts that are looking at our allegations that we brought to the Speaker, not from a political viewpoint, but from a legal viewpoint, and they're independent, meaning they're not influenced by the politics of the day. When that independent panel comes back with a report that says there's prima facie evidence of wrongdoing, our call was to say, let there be an inquiry. An inquiry is basically an investigation which would have two possible outcomes. One, the president is found guilty. The other outcome is that the president is not found guilty, is cleared. Now, for the National Assembly to say they're not going to investigate the president, in our view, it is a violation of what the Constitution dictates Parliament to do.
So there's been a bit of semantics at play here, Vuyo, with the other side saying that there was not sufficient evidence that would have warranted moving from the independent panel stage of the process to the impeachment committee stage. Not sufficient evidence. You insist that prima facie is good enough. Prima facie, of course, meaning on the face of it. Just on the face of it, it looks like the president may have done something wrong.
Indeed, because if you look at the conclusion or recommendations of that particular independent panel report, which, by the way, number one, was drafted by an experienced former Chief Justice of our country. Secondly, it has never been overturned by any court of law. It is a report that still stands. That conclusion stated that there is prima facie evidence of serious wrongdoing, serious misconduct. So if you even add the word serious misconduct, serious violation of the Constitution, that alone is enough to warrant an investigation. And I need to remind the people listening, what we're voting for in December, we're not voting to impeach the president. We're voting to hold a committee or to establish a committee that will investigate whether there is wrongdoing that would warrant an impeachment. So the bone of contention here is how the ANC abuse their majority to block any form of investigation or inquiry into their president.
Lastly, Vuyo, I know that you say that there's one of two outcomes, and that's correct. But let's face it, you're a political party contesting power, including in the National Assembly. At the back of this process, you would be hopeful, wouldn't you, that it would come down to a vote, not only at the process level, at the impeachment committee level, but also you are hoping that it goes all the way to a vote on whether or not to impeach the president.
Indeed, if the committee had a thorough inquiry and the outcome of the inquiry is to say the president did no wrongdoing, would be satisfied because would have been part of the process. However, in a case whereby there is a reputable former Chief Justice that is saying, here's a case in which it is worth looking or worth having an inquiry, and then the ANC decides that nope, we're not going to inquire our president or have any investigation. For us, it is something that is regressive in our country because it means that none of the people that hold political power by being presidents will ever be scrutinized or held accountable. And that is that will never lead us anywhere as a country. Let's
leave it there. Thank you for that. That's Vuyo Zungula. He's the president of the African Transformation Movement. Let's check in now with N. Musa with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. Now that's good news.
In our top stories, Concord to hear EFF's Pala panel report application and government yet to receive report on Stilfontein mine. Good morning. The Constitutional Court is today expected to hear the EFF's application against the Speaker of the National Assembly over the Section 89 panel report regarding the Pala matter. In 2022, the National Assembly rejected a motion to refer the report to an impeachment committee. The report, compiled by an independent panel led by retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngobo, investigated allegations against President Cyril Ramaphosa after a large sum in foreign currency was stolen from his Pala farm in Limpopo. Zoleka Kodashe reports.
Pala will never die. It will never die. Even if it dies in the Constitutional Court, it shall be revived in Parliament.
A promise kept by the EFF 2 years after the parliamentary process was concluded. When there was a majority vote not to adopt the Section 89 panel report, the Red Berets are still on a quest for justice. In papers, the party argues, among others, that the National Assembly acted irrationally by blocking the further investigation of a prima facie case against the president, despite the objective findings of the independent panel, and failed to properly consider the content of the report by effectively setting aside the panel's conclusions without establishing a factual or legal basis upon which to do so.
6 men accused of a mass murder in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape are expected to appear at the local magistrates' court today. They are facing 18 charges of murder and possession of an unlicensed firearm. 15 women and 3 men were gunned down. Hundreds of people, mainly women, are expected to picket outside the court calling for justice. Nkululeko Nyembezi reports.
A massacre that left the nation shocked and traumatized. 18 people perished when unknown men opened automatic rifles to a group of people that were asleep on the eve of cleansing ceremony. 6 have since been arrested. The alleged mastermind Mzugisi Ndamase, who is serving a life sentence, stood firm that he will defend himself in the case.
Now that I am informed by the court that I do have this third right where I can conduct my own defense,
Sunday newspapers revealed that Mzugisi Ndamase called himself the heartless monster.
The Northwest Community Safety and Transport MEC Wessels Mooroeng says they are yet to receive a report about the assessment conducted on Friday at Shaft 11 at Stilfontein. Mooroeng, accompanied by the Deputy Provincial Police Commissioner, briefed the media about the retrieval operation of over 1,000 illegal miners still believed to be underground. He says 2 phases of the operation have been concluded and the report of the assessment will determine the 3rd phase.
The second phase, which was done on Saturday rather, and on Sunday, was to bring together the machinery and the equipment that include a camera to be lowered to assess the state of the shaft. This assessment is to gather information on the type of the gases down there, how harmful, and also to confirm the number of the illegal miners and their state. Once all this data has been analyzed, we will know when and how to begin the third phase.
A South African Human Rights Commission report on the state of service delivery in the Free State has revealed the province has the highest number of bucket toilets in the country. The Commission says the bucket toilet system is widespread and does not only affect people's personal residence. The Commission reports that during the inquiry it heard testimony that schools, health facilities and even prisons are affected. Here are the reactions of some residents.
Can you imagine not having a toilet? I have to use my neighbor's toilet. What happens when I'm sick and have a runny tummy? Can you imagine if I have to use the toilet at night and their gate is locked? Things were bad. I ended up disconnecting the toilet because the sewage was flooding my yard. We have been living here for more than 10 years and have been using the same toilet. It's unstable, and when you use it, you have to be careful. The children don't know how to use it. We want the municipality to help us with the toilet.
Recapping the top story, the Constitutional Court is today expected to hear the EFF's application against the Speaker of the National Assembly over the Section 89 panel report regarding the Phala matter. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Those were the top stories for this hour. Don't miss out on a possible car insurance saving. SMS out to 30754 for a quote. Outsurance, where you always get something out.
Looking for a must-have deal this Black Friday? With Outsurance, you could get mind-blowing car insurance savings. If Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask for 500 Rand cash and make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Monthly savings if they are cheaper, or cash in your pocket. SMS out to 30754 to switch and save today. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, where you always get something out. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still heading into Pretoria on the N4. This is the Emelafeli Highway with the crash between Watermeer Street and the N1. Traffic is all the way back almost to Simon Vermeulen. The highway's heavy. A lot of traffic ducking off and jamming up Watermeer Street. Just to the north of that, Stormful Road, very heavy in the Easterist area this morning. Both directions under pressure there. Crash holding up on the R21 as you pass the airport. The collision there is you link onto the R24, and that's a really heavy delay. Update on Escort, no change really. Truck crash in the central Escort area. N3 Durban bound is very heavy. And we do have an update on the Cliffdale situation. If you're Durban bound, there's a stationary truck, so that's a bit slow. But there's been another crash in amongst the roadworks and those concrete barriers on the Pietermaritzburg side at Cliffdale. So that again is a very heavy queue that's backed up to Key Ridge. That's happening almost on a daily basis, those collisions in that construction. And Cape Town, a crash into inbound at the R300 in front of Khayelitsha. That's pushing traffic almost back to Baden-Powell Drive, Spine Road, Meway, Old Fora Road, all badly backed up in that sort of Khayelitsha and Fulani area as well. And quite a heavy backlog on Baden-Powell Drive this morning. Mitchell's Plain traffic all the way through to Muizenberg. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
A very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. It's soccer. Orlando Pirates are ready to take on CR Belouizdad tonight in the CAF Champions League. And in cricket, England's all-time leading test wicket taker James Anderson went unsold on the second day of the Indian Premier League auction. We'll have details of these stories and more at around 7:30.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes after 7 on this Tuesday. Good morning, South Africa. We are into the second hour of the morning brief here on SAFM, and I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. So we want to spend as much time as possible within this half hour focusing on the crime statistics that were released by the Police Minister Senzo Mchunu alongside the police top brass yesterday. As I was saying earlier on, if you look at those statistics, you'll find that the presentation, you immediately notice that most of the crime categories, and there are 21 of them, 21 crime categories. If you look at those categories, you'll find that there are, most of them, a lot of them are color-coded green, which signals that compared to the same period last year, they certainly are down, and you can throw in that basket the likes of murder, which is down 5.8%, sexual offences down 2.5%, robbery with aggravating circumstances down a whopping 8.8%. But then you go into the details, that's where you see disturbing trends, where you see increases in crimes such as murder and attempted murder committed against women, as well as similar crimes committed against children. So we'll focus a bit on that. In fact, I'll tell you this, as far as children are concerned, 315 children were murdered in this period. So that's July to September. 315 children were murdered in that period. That's 22 more than the same period last year. Attempted murder of children is up some 35.7%, and assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm committed against children, that's up 6.8%. So, I mean, we certainly have a lot to do and a lot to think about. Give me a call. I'll take your calls on this and other issues that we have raised this morning. The number to dial 086 000 2032. I'll also take your WhatsApp voice notes on the number 061 410 4107. In fact, you can call in even during our conversations with the guests that we're about to have over the next half hour. This is SAFM. We're leading the conversations that move us. The second hour of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief starts now.
It's Black Friday. You're ready to score that brand new shiny smart TV you've had your eyes on. The deals are insane. 4K resolution, endless apps, the works. You rush to the store, grab your dream TV, and then wham! Wait, what's this? A TV license? Oh no, you didn't pay for it. Now you're stuck with possible penalties and no TV. Avoid the heartache and pay your TV license before you rush off to your new love this Black Friday. It's quick, easy, and way cheaper than penalties. Pay your TV license today at tvlic.co.za. Act now and enjoy your new TV without any worries.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Black Friday is the season for unbelievable savings, and Outsurance has a deal you cannot miss. Get a quote, and if Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Monthly savings if they are cheaper, or cash in your pocket. SMS out to 30754 to switch and save today. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, where you always get something out. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane.
So let's start our focus now on the crime statistics that came out yesterday. A range of contact crimes, including murder and rape, saw a decline between July and September this year. This was revealed by the Police Minister Senzo Mchunu during the release of the second quarter crime statistics for the 2024-2025 financial year. Rape specifically decreased by 3.1%, while other sexual offences decreased by some 2.5%. 2.5%. Let's pick up the conversation with Lisa Vetten, who is a research associate of the Southern Center for Inequality Studies at the University of Johannesburg. Good morning to you, Lisa, and thank you for your time. So just looking at contact crimes and specifically sexual offenses as well as rape as subcategories of contact crimes, what do you make of the statistics that we saw coming out yesterday?
Well, it's always welcome to see a decrease. The question, of course, is whether that's reflecting an actual decrease in numbers or whether we've seen some sort of shift going on in underreporting. I think the other thing that we always have to bear in mind with these statistics is that they are for a 3-month period only. So they don't really tell us about a trend. It's much more important, if you want to think about something increasing or decreasing, to look at what it's doing over a longer period of time, like at least a year. So I think this tells us perhaps figures went down, but is it enough to show us that there's a downward trend overall, or is it just a temporary fluctuation over a period of a year?
Yeah, I was making the comment earlier on, Lisa, that, while the overall murder rate is said to have decreased, there are concerning categories of murder, specifically targeting specific demographics, women and children. Did you notice that trend, and what do you make of it?
Yes, I think, there's been a trend going on since 2011 where we've seen murder steadily increasing. But when you disaggregate or break those figures down, the increase was predominantly amongst men. They're murdered at six times the rate of women. So because they're murdered in such high numbers, it can often conceal what's going on with women and children because they're murdered in much lower numbers. So we've seen increases from about 2011 to about 2022 for men. For women and children, it was remaining relatively stable, a little bit up, a little bit down. But we have certainly seen from about 2022 women's murder starting to show an increase annually. So I think that is a concern, and it's going to be important to see as this year draws to a close, whether we're seeing this as being yet another year where that upward climb is once again being repeated, as we've seen over the last couple of years. Then we are seeing a worrying trend, as opposed to just a fluctuation over a period of a couple of months or a year, for instance.
What does that tell us about the interventions that you and I always talk about to push back against violence against women and violence against children? Is there something we can read into it, given the caveat that you've put to say, in your view, this is perhaps more instantaneous in the 3-month period than it is something of a trend? Are we able to glean anything intelligible there?
What I think we really need to do is use police statistics so much better than we currently do. At this point, we just use them as a basis of whether or not to shout at the police for an increase or to congratulate them for a decrease. That's not helpful. What we need to be doing is looking at those patterns over 5 to 10-year periods to see what's going on. And to, I think, look at them at a more granular level of detail. I'll use rape, for example. So, one of the things that the police do is they break down rape statistics in South Africa in terms of the top 20 or 30 stations. And you can see some really interesting fluctuations going on there over a period of a year. Lusiki, Inanda and Umlazi have probably for almost the last 15 years consistently been at the top 2 stations reporting the greatest number of rapes in South Africa. We really, really have to ask what's happening there. But a place like Lusiki and Thoyanda, for example, are showing a great deal of variation. About 6 years ago, Lusiki was in the top 4. It's now dropped down to about 10th. The position with Thoyanda is very similar. Was in the top 4, decreased. It's now back up to having the 3rd highest number of rapes in the country. So I think it's time to start looking and seeing what do these more granular trends tell us. And then if we start to look at comparing, say, what's happening in Inanda and Umlazi with Thoyanda and Lusiki, for example, we might say, well, this is what we can see has shifted and decreased, or this is what seems to be going with the increases. Then we start to get a picture of what it is that we can be doing to intervening. We get a sense of what are the drivers that are causing this.
All right, Lisa, I've got to thank you for your time this morning. That's Lisa Vetten, who is a research associate of the Southern Center for Inequality Studies at the University of Johannesburg.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
The Malian team, Stade Malien, are on a big mission to triumph in their own backyard. But Stellies of Mzansi Africa want to open their Group B curtain with maximum points in Bamako. This is the Total Energies CAF Confederation Cup. Experience the delight of African football. Stade Malien de Bamako FC versus Stellenbosch FC on Wednesday, 27 November at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Ask a woman. Ask a woman stranded on the side of the road with her 2 young crying children whether she is glad she was able to get her latest insurance quote in under 90 seconds. Ask a woman if she feels anyone is there for her. And now ask yourself, when suddenly happens, who's there for you?
Auto in general. Car insurance with 24-hour roadside assistance with live progress tracking. SMS car to 43365 for an obligation-free insurance quote. A&G is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Mzansi, don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot, estimated at 77 million rand this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball for an estimated 77 million rand jackpot today, and you could be toasting to the big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
So let's continue our focus on the crime statistics and bring into the conversation Chris de Kock, who is a crime analyst. Good morning to you, Chris, and thank you for your time. So, I mean,
good morning and good morning to the listeners.
So there are 21 categories of crime, 17 of which depend on community reporting and 4 of them depend on police action. I look at the graphic and the presentation, it looks pretty much green with 1 or 2 showing those shades of reddish, pink. But does this paint a picture of a South Africa that's getting safer?
Yeah, it's on 1 quarter. You know, one have to be careful. It's a very, it's only 3 months. But I'm positive. I'm positive that during the past 2 quarters at least, which is both winter quarters, both of them actually show lots of greens and very much less reds. If we can continue this on an annual basis, if I can lift out one thing is, for example, is murder. Murder, we are down 5.8%, and even in the previous quarter there was this downward trend in murder. If we can continue that, and it will take us many years, but we will take murder right back to where it was in 2010, 2011. You know, then we had in the history from 2003 to 2010, murder were taken from 24,000 right down to 15,000, just above 15,000. If we can do the same thing again and take it back to a more normal level of murder. Murder is a very good trend to monitor because, you know, murder, there is no underreporting in the murder rate.
Yeah.
Murder rate is quite a exact figure.
But how do we do that in a situation where my sense, Doc, is that certainly the security of the person is not guaranteed in our society? So while you are talking about, you know, a promising trend and development in as far as murder is concerned. You look at attempted murder and assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, you see immediately that that is going in the opposite direction, and it talks, I suppose, to social dynamics that are causing conflict and these interactions that sometimes lead to these incidents.
No, that's true, that those two trends are still on the upward trend, especially attempted murder, 2.2%. But I'm certain that if we work hard enough and give more visible policing and more participation between policing, security companies, and the CPFs, this may improve the situation. Assault with grievous bodily harm, that one is very much a social crime. Lots of it is generated by interpersonal relationships, which is not in order.
Yeah.
Attempted murder is more a result of robbery.
Yeah.
But we see that the robbery aggravated is actually the one that's going down the fastest with 8.8% decrease.
Yeah. Lastly, I want to tease out the situation around mass killings. I saw that one of the slides talked about where the victims where there were two or more victims. What are your observations around that? Because, we can talk about the murder rate coming down, but if one incident leads to, as happened in Thulasizwe, the death of some 18 people, we're fighting a bit of a losing battle, are we not?
Yeah, it seems in some provinces there is this issue and problem of mass killings which is coming to the fore. Unfortunately, this can be linked to heavy caliber firearms and people who just don't mind to kill, as many people as possible in one incident. Now, this is also very much to do with our with our justice system. Because if I kill 18 people or I kill one person, the same thing is going to happen to me if the police can get hold of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get 18 lifelong sentences, and even if I kill one person, I will also get a life sentence.
Yeah.
And there's only one life.
Yeah.
There's one trend that really worries me, and that is kidnapping. There's even with this stats, and kidnapping is not reflected in the main. It's very much hidden in the briefing document.
Yeah.
But kidnapping is still increasing.
Sure.
It's still increasing, and it is increasing. In the last 3 years, kidnapping have actually tripled. So we must get our hands on kidnapping. There's something happening in that field.
All right, let's leave it there. Christy Koch is a crime analyst, and bring into the conversation Juanita Dupree, who is the Action Society spokesperson. That is the civil rights organization Action Society. Good morning to you, Juanita, and thank you for your time. Your reaction to the crime statistics as released by the police top brass yesterday?
Good morning. Yes, as always, it is never nice to hear the crime statistics because we, even though there is a slight decrease year on year, it is still thousands of people who were harmed, who were murdered, who were hurt in other ways. So we also think that what is reflected in the reported crime stats is just the tip of the iceberg to what is really going on.
And from my understanding, you're particularly concerned about crime as perpetrated against women and children. Tell me a bit more about what you are observing as far as those trends are concerned.
Yes, again, yes, we do focus on the more vulnerable people in our communities, women, children, and the elderly. The elderly we don't really see in the crime statistics. They don't have their own breakdown when we just see it. But very worrying for me was the crimes against children, which increased if you look at year on year, and it also increased quarter on quarter. Women, crimes against women, there was also an increase quarter on quarter, but year on year there was a slight decrease. And I was actually very happy when I heard that the minister said we should not accept these crime stats as the norm. Even though we do see a slight improvement, it is still thousands of people who are losing their lives and getting hurt.
So what does acting on our non-acceptance of these crime statistics look like for you? And are we even beginning to make those moves that say, yes, we see that the categories are increasingly being shaded green, but it's not good enough. We've got to do more. What's that more, and is it being done?
Yes, I'm actually happy that you say we have to do more, because we are in 16 days of activism. But like every year, it is a speech by people high up, by organizations, it is billboards, it's pamphlets, and I don't think that is the solution. The solution is what we saw last week with another GBV report coming out, is the mindset of people of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, because this report stated that in many cases, women and men believe it is okay, it is acceptable, it is the way it should be, that a man punishes a woman when she did something wrong, and I put it in
yes.
But I think there are more than one solution, but if we want to do more, we have to really go down to where kids, where their ideas are formed of what is acceptable and what is right to their own bodies. That would be a great step. That would be in the home and in school and any place where they come across learning and learning those ideas. And the other thing is that punishment should really be a deterrent. Anybody who acts against a woman or a child or an elderly person should know that there will be dire consequences for them. It is not acceptable. It should not be that way. And by dire consequences, I mean, we should look at parole, we should look at before somebody goes to, just everything around that. It should really be a deterrent to know that if I do something, there will be consequences.
Thank you for that, Juanita Dupree, who is the spokesperson of Action Society. Let's check in now with Ann Musa with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, South Africa's public procurement system remains inadequate and vulnerable to fraud, according to a study commissioned by the National Treasury into the state of the country's procurement framework. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says illegal mining remains a significant threat in the country, and the Constitutional Court is today expected to hear the EFF's application against the Speaker of the National Assembly over the Section 89 panel report regarding the Phala matter. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Major queues going into Pretoria on the N4. This is the Emalafleni Highway. A crash at the N1, pushing traffic delays right back through to Rousseau Street. N1 south into the sinkhole closures, backed up now from Linwood Road. That is expected to get worse over the next hour. R21 into the airport, quite slow from the Benoni exit. Got some roadworks at Pomona Road, and then a crash down as you come off the R21 onto the R24. And the Mike 1 this morning, pretty heavily back from sort of Goldreach City right through to Oxford Road in the Parktown area. Another day, another crash at Cliffdale in the construction. Same result though, big heavy traffic just after Shongweni up through Key Ridge into Cliffdale on your way to Pietermaritzburg. Lengthy queues there. Looks like an issue bottom of Fields Hill, M13 through Kloof onto the hill down to Richmond Road is very slow, and some queues on the N2 between Komashu and Gateway. Still a big delay coming through Escort on your way to Durban as well, with a truck crash in that central Escort area. Cape Town collision N2 inbound at the R300 in front of Khayelitsha. That queue's all the way back through towards Baden-Powell Drive, and a lot of congestion on routes like Old Fora Road, Spine Road and Meway in and around that Khayelitsha area as well. Marine Drive queues from Bayside down towards the paddocks at Milnerton. More queues to Woodbridge Island. More queues through Pardon Island as you get up towards the N1 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you once again, Zai. I'm a big fan of the style of play of countries like Algeria when it comes to football. So I wonder what kind of conditions Pirates will face when they get there.
Imagine, we've even got our very own Kanyisa Mayo playing for this very team that Pirates will
really?
So clearly he loves the way they play and they love him.
The team whose name I cannot pronounce. I'll leave that to you.
CR Belouizdad. Yes, it's our Pirates. They're taking on this Algerian team tonight. CAF Champions League action. And, you know, Pirates are off a perfect 7-win streak. And that's in the Betway Premiership. So the Buccaneers are aiming to bring their A game to continental competition. Facing a struggling Belouizdad side sitting 12th in the Algerian League, Pirates are confident of kicking off Group C with a win. All eyes are on former Cape Town City striker Kanyisa Mayo, now playing for Belouizdad, who will try to break his goal drought against a rock-solid Pirates defence. Kickoff 9 p.m. live on SABC Sport. In the meantime, Al Ahly will begin their CAF Champions League title events against the Ivorian club Stade d'Abidjan, while Mamelodi Sundowns welcome Maniema to the Loftus Versfeld ground at 6 p.m. tonight. More soccer news as the Betway Premiership resumes this week. Royal AM coach John Maduka is expecting a tough return to action. They take on Golden Arrows at the Harry Gwala Stadium tonight at 7:30 p.m. Prior to the international break, Abafana Bestende went on a 4-match winless streak in which they recorded 4 consecutive defeats before recording a 0-0 draw with SuperSport United last time out. Now that slump in form sees them move down to 10th position on the table, and they've only accumulated just 7 points from 6 matches played so far this season. Royal AM ended their matchday 7 encounter in a 1-0 loss against Polokwane City at the Harry Gwala Stadium, and that was on the 30th of October. Let's move abroad. John Stones is a doubt for Manchester City's top-of-the-table Premier League clash with Liverpool this weekend. The England international substituted at half-time in City's 4-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur last weekend and is now an injury worry for his side's upcoming match against Feyenoord and Liverpool. Let's hear now from Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola.
Our big believers in the process and the fundamentals that we have to do. What you have to believe is that the players are injured, come back in the best form. The players that play a lot of minutes for the reason of injuries, some rest to come back, get one good result to change our mind, and believe completely deeply that when we are winning a lot, always I was thinking this too shall pass. And right now, this too shall pass too.
Let's go to cricket. South Africa's cricket team bringing the heat to the IPL auction taking place in Saudi Arabia. Kagiso Rabada leading the pack. The Gujarat Titans snapped him up for a jaw-dropping 23 million rand, cementing his status as one of the world's premier fast bowlers. David Miller joined the Lucknow Super Giants for 16 million rand. Marco Jansen impressed with a staggering 14.9 million rand. And at 40 years old, Faf du Plessis going to the Delhi Capitals for 4.2 million rand, and young star Kwenema Parker securing his spot with the Rajasthan Royals. In the meantime, England's all-time leading Test wicket taker James Anderson went unsold on the second day of the Indian Premier League auction, which also saw a 13-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi being picked up by the Rajasthan Royals. And finally, tennis, 2-time Wimbledon champion Carlos Alcaraz will play at Queen's in 2025. The world number 3 lifted the title at Queen's Club on his tournament debut in 2023, but lost to Jack Draper in the second round last year. That's a wrap of your sport. There'll be more top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again, Dowling. Tell me about Netcare proposing that the healthcare sector should be included in this government business partnership. Are they talking about this process, this structured process through which solutions are being sought between government and business, and they want the health sector to be involved there?
That's right, Sula. So over the past few years, ever since I've been in the field, Netcare has been very vocal about the issues plaguing the healthcare sector, whether it's a nurse shortage or most recently issues surrounding the NHI. And in an attempt to deal with these concerns, Netcare is advocating for public-private partnerships in the sector. Last year, business and government launched that pact in which, both parties agreed to work together to get the local economy steadily on an upward trajectory. They agreed on addressing 3 key areas, including energy, logistics, and crime and corruption. Now, in a Business Day article, Netcare CEO Dr. Richard Friedland said he'd like the healthcare sector to be added to those key issues that need to be addressed. Now, this, of course, comes as the NHI Act has been dealing with a lot of pushback. At the moment, it's facing 3 separate legal actions from medical schemes, trade union solidarity, and medical specialists. Netcare has warned against the court route, highlighting that parties could be stuck in the process for years. South Africa's largest private hospital operator has experience contracting with the UK's National Health Service and believes it could use those expertise to assist in solving the local health impasse. These comments come alongside the group's annual numbers, where both revenue and profits ticked higher. This despite dealing with tough trading conditions, including low economic growth, elevated inflation during that period, a flat medical scheme market, and high electricity costs. So basically, they managed to, weather those tough trading conditions.
Now, here's something that is quite a bit unusual. I thought chicken livers come in tubs, frozen and, kept nicely in the fridge. You are telling me this morning, Ndauling, that there are plans to can them and put them in cans.
That's right. And,
unless that's been happening and I wasn't aware.
It's been happening in the
Has
background.
it?
I think you'll be even more shocked that there are also plans to make canned chicken. So yeah, there's a lot happening
Canned
to
chicken.
us, but canned chicken. Lucky Star owner Oceana is delving deeper into that canned protein market, finding pockets of opportunity there. It's planning to roll out canned chicken livers in gravy. The group is targeting Botswana and Zimbabwe as a testing ground. Oceana CEO Neville Brink explained that the company's approach involves piloting its products in smaller regional markets to gauge consumer preferences, optimal pricing, and product appeal. This strategy enables the company to then refine its offerings and operations while maintaining a manageable scale. Now, the findings from the phase will inform the company's product launch strategy in larger South African retail chains, where significant stock levels and competitive positioning will be a bit more crucial to securing listings with major retailers like your ShopRite, your Pick n Pays, and your Checkers. Brink further said that Botswana and Zimbabwe are the perfect testing ground, as both nations have a strong tradition of consuming those canned products such as the tin fish, the corned beef. The company intends to launch these products nationally within the next 6 months, closely following the launch of canned protein alternatives by poultry producer Astral Foods. So Astral Foods announced plans to make canned chicken available on retail shops by March 2025. So by next year, when you go into that canned division in your shopping center, your Pick n Pay, you'll be seeing canned chicken next to your tin fish.
We're in for exciting times.
Very, very.
A recap
Now,
for
Oceana,
okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry, Ndauling.
No problem. Following that, Oceana's expansion into canned meat products forms part of the company's broader strategy to diversify its offerings and reduce its dependence on seafood products, which are also just subject to fluctuations in the global commodity prices. So basically diversifying here.
Fascinating times. All right, give us a recap of the markets here at home and elsewhere in the world.
Kicking off in Asia, markets trading mixed. Sentiment on that front really sour following Trump's threats to impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China on his first day in office. You'd expect this to be priced in, considering that the move was widely expected, but that's not the case. With that, we're seeing the Japanese Nikkei taking the biggest knock, down 1.6% this morning. Then over in Wall Street, futures are in the green following yesterday's upbeat finish. Traders on that front eyeing Trump's next moves and the Fed minutes being released tomorrow. Then back at home, the JSE being caught up in the sour emerging market sentiment, slipping into the red. The all-share closed 0.86% lower. The rand also not faring well this morning, sitting at 18.11 to the dollar.
All right, thank you for that. That's Ntauleng Lechela. She'll be back with one more update for you just before the resumption of trade for this Tuesday at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.
Outsurance are experts in what they do.
They get to understand what type of business are you doing so that they can insure you properly.
It actually validates why we're with them. If you haven't called Outsurance yet, what are you waiting for?
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
My name is Vusiwe intokazi yakwaNgcobo ufuze umapholo mashamahle made engasazoshumayela. When last did I go to a party and how was the experience? I don't party at all. But my parents did have a 40th wedding anniversary as well as my mom's 60th birthday, so that was the last party I went to. Nothing beats partying with older people. It's a lot of fun. Can I sing a short verse of appreciation? What am I gonna sing? Holy, you'll always be. What do I like so much about SABC Sport? It's not even a like, it's a love. I love the fact that we're able to bring real stories to the people of South Africa. Catch
the queen of Mzansi Diski, Vusiwe Ngobo, on match days, live on Laduma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Mzansi, don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot estimated at 77 million rand this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball for an estimated 77 million rand jackpot today and you could be toasting to big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Africa Update on SAFM.
For that, let's turn to Sipho Mandula. Good morning to you, Raz. We start in Windhoek in Namibia. It's 24 hours to go before the elections?
Good morning to us and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Indeed, to us, Namibia decides 2024. I thought today, let me look at what we can see as a possibility of having a first female president in Namibia. The vice president, Nandi Ndaitwa, who is currently the candidate of SWAPO, who's contesting with 15 political parties as well as for the National Assembly seats. When you look at the issues that he's promising for those people is around creating jobs, unemployment for the young people, spending money on issues that include women, healthcare, and if one looks at Nandi Thulas, you look at the Ellen Joseph Sirleaf, you look at Joyce Banda, Samba Panza. These are the women in Africa who have been female presidents. So we might be looking towards a first female president in the SADC, second one coming from Joyce Banda. And as you know, Thulas, tomorrow maybe I will touch on the key other opposition leaders who have said before they are former members of SWAPO, from a youth leader to one of the senior citizen, or a senior member of SWAPO, Bundelani Itula, who's also the opposition for SWAPO, let's say, and Job Amapunda, who's a youth leader of SWAPO, who's also contesting. So tomorrow we'll touch on those opposition leaders. What are they promising the electorates in Namibia?
Speaking of opposition leaders in Mozambique, that dialogue is finally getting on the go, and you're telling us this morning that the main opposition leaders will be there, will be present.
This was confirmed also by Frelimo yesterday, saying that Francisco Daniel Chapo will be part of the meeting today in the afternoon in the office of the outgoing President Philip Nyusi. In their time, it will be around 4 o'clock this afternoon. The 4 candidates will include Daniel Chapo, Lutero Simango, Usufo Momade of Renamo. We don't know Benashi or Tulas whether he'll be physical or will be online in this meeting, which it is tabled as a post-election dialogue that is called by the former President Philip Nyusi. Also, Tulas, we are still awaiting the Constitutional Council verdict in terms of the elections of October 9 in Mozambique. So we hope that Philip Nyusi will come up with something out of the meeting with the 4 presidential candidates.
In Mogadishu, tell me about the government there reopening the Foreign Ministry archives. What's that all about?
Tulas, I think it is very important. Even us doing 30 years in this country, I think it will be important to look at our archives. Are they still safe? Have we digitized them? Have we kept them, Tulas, as part of future research and policy making for the future diplomats? This is what came from the Foreign Affairs Minister in Mogadishu yesterday, Ahmed Figi, when he said that for the first time they were able to can put what they call diplomatic heritage, modernizing the historical records of the foreign documents of Somalia. You'll understand Somalia has been going through a lot of conflicts, issues of wars, issues of growth, development. So for me, I think it is important for many member states, including South Africa, it will be interesting to see our archive from 1994 until now of foreign affairs.
Agreed. Talk to me about what's happening in Port-au-Prince. It's quite easy, Sipho, to chuckle at the name of this person, Barbecue, but actually the gangs there are causing mayhem and destruction.
This is said actually when you look at Haiti now, and you know we have been said before, this is undercovered or underreported story. Haiti has been going through a lot during this month. The UN has left Haiti yesterday. There have been many evacuation helicopters leaving Haiti. They say 14 times yesterday leaving the capital city due to a clash between the gangs led by Barbecue and many other leaders there, fighting with the support team, or what they call the multi-international police that is supported by the Kenyans. So we still have challenge in Haiti, despite that we have a new prime minister who was only appointed a week ago, but you still have this challenge of when the UN is leaving, but UN is saying we are not leaving, we'll still come back to deal with the question of peacekeeping in Haiti. The issue of gang violence is around governance in that island,
Then tell me, in your historical archives, Sipho, you're taking us to 26 November 1998. The march towards the transition in South Africa was almost inevitable at that point. What happened on this day?
That is very true, Tulas. I think these two great leaders were both called the Lion of the Midlands and the Lion of Azania. They went to Robben Island in the early 60s, and you are talking about Themba Hirigwala, Zafania Lekwane, Muthupe. They were released on this day 36 years ago, Tulas, but they formed a part of our heritage in terms of a liberation struggle. As you have said, Hirigwala was involved in the KwaZulu-Natal peace mediation or crisis that was happening during that time. Zephania Muthupe was the architect of the June 16, 1976. So it is important when you look at these two figures, Uncle Zeph and the Lion of the Midlands, as they call him, Hirigwala, Perpetua, as well as Uncle Zeph. These are the great leaders that they have passed on, by the way. Sure. So we're not talking about people who are still alive, but they have played their role in the liberation struggle of South Africa. Asante sana Tulas, as I was in the conversation, SAFM.
Sipho, thank you for that. Sipho Mantula there with your Africa update here on the Morning Brief.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Stays pretty heavily backed on Pretoria's N4 this morning. The Emelethani Highway, a crash just before you get to the N1, and that's pushing traffic back through Watermeyer Street and back towards Rousseau Street. So heavy queues on the highways. Watermeyer Street's a bit of a congested nightmare as well. Motorists struggling to get into the highway or coming out and trying to work through towards Linwood Road. N1 South, the backlog down towards the sinkhole at the R21 is queuing now back heavily to Linwood Road. That's still got a bit to go. You'll probably get back in touch about the N4 Emelethani Highway in terms of that queue. It is Very heaviness like that until the 1st of December, morning and afternoons. You will hit delays there. Crash on the R21 opposite the airport. That's still very slow. Once you get past the Benoni exit, R21 backs up quite heavily. Crash on the N3 North now at Modderfontein Road. All lanes are open, but plenty to look at. So up from Germiston and Alberton, very heavy this morning. And the Mike 1 from Goldreef City, heavily back to Parktown's Oxford Road. And then shortly thereafter, a crash up by Glenhove. So there's not much of a gap between Parktown and that Houghton Estate collision scene. N1, Bayers Nordia through to Ravonia Road, looking very heavy indeed. If you're on your way out towards Petermaritzburg this morning, having left Durban, an earlier crash and now a breakdown at Cliffdale in the construction. Traffic stays heavy from as far back as almost Shongweni, actually, almost the Shongweni exit. Very heavy M13, leaving Hillcrest, arriving into Kloof and then down Fields Hill. Issue there at the bottom of Fields Hill near Richmond Road. And long delays approaching Central Escort. There's a truck crash, very, very little movement, and a big backlog through towards the Escort North exit. Cape Town this morning, Baden-Powell along the coast, calming down, busy, but off its heaviness as you move from Mitchell's Plain through to Muizenberg, and the N7 quite slow, queuing up passing Langa, and then more queues from Goodwood up to that busy Bosmansdam Road off-ramp. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
It's Black Friday. You're ready to score that brand new shiny smart TV you've had your eyes on. The deals are insane. 4K resolution, endless apps, the works. You rush to the store, grab your dream TV, and then wham! Wait, what's this? A TV license? Oh no, you didn't pay for it. Now you're stuck with possible penalties and no TV. Avoid the heartache and pay your TV license before you rush off to your new love this Black Friday. It's quick, easy, and way cheaper than penalties. Pay your TV license today at tvlic.co.za. Act now and enjoy your new TV without any worries.
Think festive season. Can you hear it? See it? Now imagine it purple. Yes, forget the tinsel because Click season is purple. It's that time of the year for the famous Clicks 3-for-2 purple sticker promotion. Mix and match any 3 festive gifts with a purple sticker and get the cheapest one free. Clicks. Feel good, pay less. Deals valid until 24 December or while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Think bigger than just a banking partner. Think a team of specialized experts supporting you to make better financial decisions to enable your growth aspirations. Think a strategic partnership providing indispensable advice to help you make the right moves. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
All right, to this now. The organization known as Mining Affected Communities United in Action says it has noted the resurfacing of over 34 miners in one of the abandoned shafts in Stilfontein in the northwest. The organization says this has affirmed its claims that miners are desperate to come out, and any further delays in assisting the miners to surface places their lives at risk. Let's welcome into the conversation Sabelo Mnguni, who is Makua's National Administrator. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. So the miners are surfacing more and more. In the last 24 hours, we're talking a figure of over 34 that have come up. Are you satisfied with this process of them coming up? Is it playing out in a way that safeguards their well-being, but also at the same time ensures that they face the consequences of whatever actions they are accused of undertaking?
No, thank you for having us, and good morning to listeners. Yeah, no, we definitely, as we put in the statement, we welcome the resurfacing of the miners. So maybe if one thing you can put clear, the 34 or the other 20 that surfaced yesterday didn't surface in the 11th or the 10th shaft, the shaft in Margaret. So these are two separate shafts. So in terms of their well-being, the more we delay to rescue those who are at shaft 11, the more we risk their well-being. So in terms of the law, the law needs to take place, needs to take its course. We are not preventing the law enforcement to do their work. What we are emphasizing and what we are advocating for is to save lives, particularly those who are at shaft 11.
So are you making a distinction between those who are at shaft 11 and those who are at Margaret shaft? And are you telling me that the reason we are seeing those at Margaret resurfacing is that they don't need rescue, but you are saying to me that those at shaft 11 do need rescue?
Definitely correct. Those are at shaft 11, the ones who are in a desperate condition at the moment. Where they are, it's difficult for them to surface on their own. They will definitely need assistance. Vis-a-vis those who are at Margaret shaft. Margaret shaft it's a shaft that is operational, so it's easy for those who are trapped, who are still underground or on the other side of Margaret to surface on the Margaret. But the shaft 11 is a different story entirely.
Has the tone of engagement between communities and the police and others involved in this process changed in the last while, in the last few days, certainly in the wake of the court action that was playing itself out? Are you getting a sense that there's an appreciation that, in your words, those at shaft 11 will need to be rescued?
Yes, definitely. Yes, there is I wouldn't say definitely there is a change of attitude towards rescuing those who are at 11, because now the pace is a little bit still slow for those who are at shaft 11. But definitely we do welcome the assistance that the government is providing to those who are at shaft 11.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time this morning. That's Sabelo Mnguni, who speaks on behalf of the organization known as Mining Affected Communities United in Action, that is MAKUA for short. Bringing us to 8 a.m. and time now for a news update with N. Musa. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43187 now.
In our top stories, public procurement system vulnerable to fraud, and Concord to hear EFF's Palapala panel report application. Good morning. A study commissioned by the National Treasury into the state of the country's procurement framework has found the public procurement system remains inadequate and vulnerable to fraud. The study was conducted by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the African Development Bank, World Bank and others. It recommends the establishment of an anti-corruption body to restore integrity. Notando Magudulela reports.
The assessment was conducted over the period July 2023 to April 2024 by the OECD, African Development Bank and World Bank in cooperation with South Africa's National Treasury. The stakeholders say South Africa's public procurement at its current state is vulnerable to fraud and corruption. It says the system requires better monitoring and controlling systems. It also recommended that South Africa build on a strong and independent anti-corruption body.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says illegal mining remains a significant threat in the country. He was speaking during the release of the crime statistics for the second quarter of the financial year in Parktown in Johannesburg. It comes after the High Court in Pretoria dismissed the application for emergency humanitarian relief for illegal miners in Stilfontein in the northwest. Mchunu has welcomed the dismissal of the application, in which the Society for the Protection of Our Constitution seeked relief for the illegal miners.
What we want to say is that no legal miner will remain underground forever. Now, we need to optimize in order to achieve this, our cooperation and coordination with all those concerned, including the private sector, including DMR, including other government departments, and including communities in the affected area.
The Constitutional Court is today expected to hear the EFF's application against the Speaker of the National Assembly over the Section 89 panel report regarding the Palapala matter. In 2022, the National Assembly rejected a motion to refer the report to an impeachment committee. The report, compiled by an independent panel led by the retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo, investigated allegations against President Cyril Ramaphosa after a large sum in foreign currency was stolen from his Palapala farm in Limpopo. Zuleka Kodashe reports.
Palapala will never die. It will never die. Even if it dies in the Constitutional Court, it shall be revived in Parliament.
A promise kept by the EFF 2 years after the parliamentary process was concluded. When there was a majority vote not to adopt the Section 89 panel report, the Red Berets are still on a quest for justice. In papers, the party argues, among others, that the National Assembly acted irrationally by blocking the further investigation of a prima facie case against the president, despite the objective findings of the independent panel, and failed to properly consider the content of the report by effectively setting aside the panel's conclusions without establishing a factual or legal basis upon which to do so.
6 men accused of a mass murder in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape are expected to appear at the local magistrates' court today. They are facing 18 charges of murder and possession of unlicensed firearms. 15 women and 3 men were gunned down. Hundreds of people, mainly women, are expected to picket outside the court calling for justice. Nkululeko Nyembezi reports.
A massacre that left the nation shocked and traumatized. 18 people perished when unknown men opened automatic rifles to a group of people that were asleep on the eve of cleansing ceremony. 6 have since been arrested. The alleged mastermind Mzugisi, who is serving a life sentence, stood firm that he will defend himself in the case.
Now that I am informed by the court that I do have this third right where I can conduct my own defense,
Sunday newspapers revealed that Mzugisi called himself the heartless monster.
The Free State Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs says it's working on assisting municipalities with capacity building. The Human Rights Commission reports that short staff and underskilled administrative managers are some of the factors contributing to the deterioration of service delivery in the Free State. The department spokesperson Zima Sambeu says a local government summit is in the pipeline, partly to address issues highlighted by the Commission.
The department is aware and concerned that our municipalities are battling to provide adequate services to the communities that they serve, and this has obviously become a violation of their rights, particularly their rights to clean drinking water, proper sanitation, and decent roads. The department will, however, study this report and respond to critical issues that have been highlighted that are needing urgent attention.
Recapping the top story, a study commissioned by the National Treasury into the state of the country's procurement framework has found the public procurement system remains inadequate and vulnerable to fraud. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today, SMS car to 43187. 52-year-old Sipho loves Outsurance Essential because it's low-cost insurance made for older cars. For his 2007 Hyundai Tucson, he only pays 314 Rand a month. With Outsurance Essential, accident claims are paid in cash, so you can choose the panel beater you want to use. Top this up with the motor warranty, which covers you for mechanical or electrical breakdowns. Get saving with Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS car to 43187. That's car to 43187 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still very heavy on the M1 South in Pretoria, queuing up now from just back beyond Linwood Road all the way down to the R21. Once you get through that, you've got more work to do on the N1 between Old Joburg Road and the New Road exit. And the Mike one's pretty heavily back this morning up through Joburg queues from Gold Reef City all the way through to Glenhove Road. It's a combination of the usual rush hour volumes making your way to Parktown and then a crash up by that Glenhove exit. The N1 Beyers Nordia round to Ravonia is super solid, and the N3 a crash on the side of the highway at Modderfontein Road means a delay coming out of Alberton and Germiston. That N3 route past Cement Factory through Van Buren, through Gillies, up through Linksfield and in towards Modderfontein Road stays jam-packed. Durban, the M7 from Queensborough heading down towards Rossborough. There's some heavy backlogs there, at least at Bel Air and Wakesley. Stationary truck in the road to exit Cliffdale. Another jam-packed morning on your way out to Pietermaritzburg. Long queues back to Key Ridge. Truck crash at Escort. Central Escort area still causing a big delay for Durban-bound motorists. A lot of truckers caught out there as well. And Cape Town, Bosmansdam Road out of Edgemead and Bortasak, very heavy across the Montague Drive through Stummer Greens. Behind that, the N7's backlogging from Trekker Road all the way to that Bosmansdam exit. And a lot of traffic on Route 1 inbound this morning. Traffic still congested from Durban Road at Belleville right through to the city centre. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
A very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. It's soccer action. Carling Knockout Cup loss is in the past as Mamelodi Sundowns switch their attention to the CAF Champions League. And in golf, Tiger Woods withdraws from the Hero World Challenge. All these stories and more at around 8:30.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
Hey, good morning, folks. We are into the third hour of the morning brief here on SAFM. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane. So in the last 2 hours or so, we've lit quite a few conversational fuses, and let's allow the conversation to explode at this particular point in time. I mean, we've been talking at length about what came out of the crime statistics, the ones that are showing green in terms of their color coding, where the SAPS top brass is telling us that those crimes are on the decline, but also those are a shade of pink to red, which are going up. In the main, many of them showing a move towards a decline. Certainly the murder rate showing a decline, as well as sexual offences and the likes. But concerningly, as I've been saying throughout the morning, crimes such as murder, attempted murder directed at women and children, those are on the up and those are concerning. And I've been asking the question of whether or not, given that many of the categories are becoming shaded in green, increasingly shaded in green, are you feeling any safer as a South African? This is, of course, to do with the 3 months from July to September. Those were the stats that were released by the SAPS yesterday. We're also monitoring that march by the EFF, marching from Mary Fitzgerald Square in Johannesburg to Constitutional Court. This in support of the application that the EFF and the African Transformation Movement, the ATM, will be bringing before the ConCourt. It has to do with the decisions that were taken by majority of the National Assembly in December 2022 to not proceed with the impeachment process against President Cyril Ramaphosa in the wake of the Parapara issue. Basically, the National Assembly voting to not adopt a independent panel report that had said there's a prima facie case that the president had violated certain aspects of the law and, you know, the ethics and the likes to which he is held as head of state. So you can weigh in on that, weigh in on any other issue that's exercising your mind this morning. I will take your calls. The number to dial for that is 086 000 2032. I'll also take your WhatsApp voice notes on 061 410 4107. This is SAFM. We are leading the conversations that move us. The third hour of the Tuesday edition of the Morning Brief starts now.
Lina Lakake Tlompokekana, I'm from Mamelodi Sundowns captain. I'm a sports analyst Lago SABC Sport. When I'm home, I try by all means to practice cooking. My favorite home cooked meal, I'll go for pap and masonja because I can prepare that with easy. What do I normally get up to when I get a moment to myself? I would easily, play my guitar. I try to practice a lot of Tracy Chapman. My favorite foreign language is French. Bonjour, comment ça va? So if I didn't play beautiful football, I think I was gonna be a baseball player. What do I like about SABC Sport is the fact that we given an opportunity to educate.
Catch the exciting Diski analysis by Sompo Long Range Kekana on match days live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Ask a woman. Ask a woman stranded on the side of the road with her 2 young crying children whether she is glad she was able to get her latest insurance quote in under 90 seconds. Ask a woman if she feels anyone is there for her. And now ask yourself, when suddenly happens, who's there for you?
Auto and General. Car insurance with 24-hour roadside assistance with live progress tracking. SMS car to 43365 for an obligation-free insurance quote. A&G is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
2016 champs Kabuyelo Masandawana want to kick off their group stage campaign on a high note, while the Greens and Blacks of DRC want to illustrate how they made it to this level for the first time in history. This is the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience awesome vibes of African football. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus AS Manyema Union this Tuesday, 26 November at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC2 and also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
Let me start with this call from Hassan in Joburg. Good morning to you, Hassan. You want to respond to what was said by Patrick in Pietermaritzburg a bit earlier on, the claims around radicalization of young people in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Tulas. I don't come to this issue from any other background but the one that works with mining-affected communities and looking at issues of extractivism in general. What I found disturbing, it looks like this is a multi-headed hydrant that seems to rear its head every now and then. And I think that caller, I don't think he was simply recycling what Willem Els and others have said, because Els recently said that there were 11-year-olds being radicalized in some mosques and that. And a number of groups, the Media Review Network and others have debunked this. But I think the big issue at stake here is the failure to get real facts behind it. And this story gets repeated and recycled from far back as 2020 when you brought it up. Around the GNU, and I've written you a longish note, around the GNU was trying to put together, it seems that it's used to kind of panel beat us to take decisions that are always governed with Islam in one corner and the West in the other. And it's a very silly framing of the issue.
Sorry, Hassan. And I was going to add that, in fairness, there's absolutely no history of radicalization in South Africa. You've had 1 or 2 cases that were investigated and taken through the processes, but the claim cannot be made with any credibility that there's a history of young Muslims being radicalized in South Africa. Can it?
No, but I think also what happens when it comes to Mozambique, where people have discussed quite a bit, and I spoke to a bishop about 2 weeks ago from the area there, who said that it's not Islamic terror, but the historic neglect by Frelimo about the conditions there and the angling that the community would be losing out again to Total in such groups. So what I'm saying to you, as I said in my thing, you are my station of choice. And I really didn't want us to kind of go simply to what the ISS are putting out. They need to be put against other scholars. They must wise up. They must bring evidence. Because if it is so, if it's true what they're saying, they must name the mosque and name the children, and then we deal with it. But to simply use it every now and then, refresh it, is really not good for our democracy.
All right, thank you for that. That's Hassan in Joburg there, responding to Patrick in Pietermaritzburg a bit earlier on, and throwing out a challenge to those who peddle and advance this story and this theory. Let me speak to Lungelo in KwaZulu-Natal. Good morning to you, Lungelo. You want to talk to me about the crime statistics?
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to the listeners at home. So I want to touch on a few issues quickly. Firstly, will we ever feel safe? I think there is a security industrial complex which is hell-bent on basically making sure that there's obviously repeat business in South Africa. So whether the crime stats do go down, I think it's going to take us some time, because if you look at the videos which are shown online and so on and so forth, it just says that, you're always in danger. But also if you look at car accidents, there's always a chance of being in a car accident, but you're not as fearful of driving as you are of being affected by crime. So there's just that little factor. But I hope we can now allow the police to police and not have them being general solutions for particular sectorial failures. I'll make an example. With the spaza shops, where the president has also indicated that the police must now, do these raids and so on. In actual fact, that's a simple bylaw enforcement, which municipalities along with municipal police are responsible for. So it's a COPTA matter, but it's now the SAPS at the forefront. Let's also look at the mining issue with those underground miners. That's also a mining company and a private security matter relating to trespassing.
Sure.
It's now a major SAPS issue, and DMRE is not really at the forefront. You will see this with service delivery as well. It's going to be police, and now being at the forefront of it all. So we have this tendency that whenever anything breaks down in South Africa, then you call the police. I remember during lockdown, in the lead up to the arrest of the president, when the police in KZN were asked, actually General Mkhwanazi was asked, why aren't you arresting people? And he made something very simple. I don't want the police to be the story. I want the story to be the story. We must monitor and ensure that nothing gets out of hand. But the minute we start arresting, obviously things are going to get out of control, and then the police are going to be the story.
Lungelo?
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Great inputs there from Lungelo on a variety of topics. And I think I like the way he links, I've spoken of this idea of a poly-crisis. I like the way that Lungelo was linking that if you don't solve this one aspect of the problem, you end up roping in resources from the police to respond to that situation, as opposed to police focusing on the core of their mandate. Let me speak to Abongile in Cape Town. Good morning to you, Abongile. You want to talk about Palapala?
Hi, Tulas. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good. I hope the listeners are also well. Tulas, I just want to ask you something just before I make my point. Have you, by any chance, engaged the report on the Palapala issue that came out of the ADO committee?
I did.
Oh, sorry.
I did at the time, but I have not recently brushed up on it. The one by former Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo.
Former Chief Justice.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm just struggling with the issue of the finding there, and I do know that various political parties just twisted the wording of the report to obviously suit the narrative, which is normal. But it just bothers me when, this normalized sort of interpretation becomes, the general interpretation in the public. So I just wanted to make sure, because from how I read the report, it stated that there may be a prima facie case for the president, which was a confusion for me, because the reason for the establishment of the committee itself is because we all knew there may be, but we just wanted a lawyer or senior lawyer or a senior judge to confirm if or not there is, so that we can act.
So you would have preferred stronger terms instead of may
100%,
be.
100%.
You would have
So
wanted
it
them
is
to say there is a prima facie case.
100%. Then at least clears the confusion. It doesn't make the whole country run around like headless chicken, leaving room for interpretation by, this party interprets it like that, SAFM interprets it like that. the stronger terms would have provided certainty. So that's why I think personally that the report or the committee itself just added more problems to the whole conundrum of Palapala. I don't know why a judge cannot just stand and say there is or there is not.
All right, gotcha. Abongile, thank you for that. That's Abongile in Cape Town there, weighing in on a case that is going to be playing itself out in the Constitutional Court, where the EFF and the ATM are taking the National Assembly and its Speaker and others, and the President as well, on that challenge around the Palapala matter and the application of the rules around impeachment.
Ethical is what defines our business. I think Outsurance does have integrity. They are not just there for the money, they're there to create a relationship. It's like a partner in business. It's the best thing we've ever done to switch over to Outsurance. It's a no-brainer.
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Get ready to honor Madiba's legacy together. Join us on 8 December at the Union Buildings in Tshwane, Gauteng, as we pay tribute to Nelson Mandela with the Mandela Remembrance Walk and Run. There's a distance for everyone: 21 kilometers, 10-kilometer run, and a 5-kilometer scenic walk. Enjoy loads of entertainment and plenty of fun for the kids. If you can't be there in person, you can participate from wherever you are, uniting with thousands around the country to honor Nelson Mandela's vision of unity, equality, and a just society. All proceeds will support the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Register now at mandelawalkandrun.com. Let's come together to remember Madiba. In proud partnership with Gauteng Province, the City of Tshwane, and SABC Sport. See you there. Let's make it a day to remember.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll get a fantastic price for your car. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Mzansi, don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot, estimated at 77 million rand this Tuesday. You heard right. Play Powerball for an estimated 77 million rand jackpot today, and you could be toasting to big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
So with the Black Friday shopping frenzy officially upon us, local brands have been warned to make sure that they prevent brand impersonation and maintain customer trust. Online shopping, as you know, allows customers to reach brands without the hassle of in-store shopping, but it also allows for criminals to impersonate famous brands. Let's bring into the conversation now Brian Pinnock, who is the Vice President of Sales Engineering at Mimecast South Africa. Good morning and thank you for your time. So tell me, when I talk about brand impersonation in the context of online shopping, what am I talking about and how widespread is it?
So good morning to Thulasizwe. Yes, it is incredibly widespread, and particularly now, you see that the online threat actors actually ramp up their operations. And we've seen evidence of that this year where just in the last week, Meta, who's the parent company of Facebook, actually just removed 2 million accounts associated with this kind of sort of financial scam. In this case, it was more sort of a financial thing known as pig butchering. Now that we're moving into the Black Friday week, they changed their tactics slightly, and they've actually already teed up all of your favorite brands, all the sites we kind of all getting ready, myself included. I'm sure you too. There's a couple of things I'm looking, hoping the price is going to come down, and they know what sites we go to, and they're already ready with those fake sites. Those kind of look-alike domains that almost, if you're not sort of thinking carefully and you're a little bit too keen to get to a good price, that you may not notice.
Yeah, so just tell me about how it works, just so that we get the warning as out there as possible. We're saying brand impersonation, so I assume that it involves someone or some organization, criminal organization or some criminal person pretending to be a representative or a site of a particular brand. Take me through then what the end goal is in relation to the consumer.
So I think that's the part that people get a little bit, sort of confused about. They sort of think of these scams as an all-in-one thing where someone goes kind of from start to finish. That's actually not how it works at all. What happens is you've probably already been scammed. I think take it as given that your email address, your password, especially if you use the same password across multiple sites, more than likely your bank accounts, because there's been multiple data breaches, and probably more than likely your credit card without all the additional numbers like your CVV numbers. Take it as a given that those are probably already in the hands of the cyber criminals, and that you've already been the victim of a scam or a data breach or one of those things. So what happens is we think of these scams as all-in-ones, and they've got to get through all of those things first. They don't know my password, they don't know my email, they don't know my credit card number. Take it as given that they do. And actually all they've got to do now is do the rest of the way. And that's probably the best advice I can give you, sort of think about it in those senses that the scam's coming. So what will happen is you'll get something that will happen and it doesn't feel wrong because they may already have all your information or the site's already there, or you've clicked on something and all it's asking you for is that one extra number. In reality, they've done all the other stuff, they've done their homework, and they're literally just almost at the finish line. And you've just, that last little bit of social engineering is what they need to either sort of steal further information from you or actually take money out of your account, depending on what the actual scam is.
Are we seeing these criminals invest in a way, Brian, in such things as pushing through their advertisements so that, you know, how the algorithms work, so that they show up in our social media algorithms, which is an integral part of online shopping these days, that, you know, perhaps a lot of times it starts there. You see it on your feeds and then you click on it. Are we at a point where they are now investing in showing up on our feeds?
They absolutely do. It runs like a business. So there's a return on investment. They will run a campaign. The campaign may involve actually paying for advertising on sites like Google. It may actually pay for advertising on sites like Instagram and those kind of social media sites. Or it may just be that they put these things in and trust that the algorithm will surface those things in your feed. Maybe it's because you're looking for a new TV of a certain size or whatever it is. So they're very, very astute as to how all of these things work. So absolutely, they do invest in these things, and they need a return on that investment, which is obviously your hard-earned money.
All right, thank you for sharing those insights with us this morning. That's Brian Pinnock, who is the Vice President of Sales Engineering at Mimecast South Africa. Just a word of warning before, the rush, the frenzy, the shopping frenzy that is Black Friday. At 8:30, let's check in with Ann Musa with the latest news headlines.
Good morning. Thanks to us. In the headlines, EFF leader Julius Malema says the ANC and the MK party will not be allowed to join this morning's march to the Constitutional Court. This comes as the EFF is scheduled to hold a picket outside the Constitutional Court ahead of the Palapala farm theft case. Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chilwane says health and environment authorities have cleared the school nutrition program regarding the foodborne illnesses at the Tabisi Primary School in Diepkloof in Soweto. And a study commissioned by the National Treasury into the state of the country's procurement framework has found the public procurement system remains inadequate and vulnerable to fraud. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Update on the M1 South coming through Pretoria. Still very heavy from Linwood Road side, Linwood Atterbury right down to the R21. It's not as bad as it was this time yesterday. So obviously a proportion of the motoring public have made plans to avoid getting caught. Now maybe they're travelling earlier, travelling after peak, or onto alternative routes. But you look at the queue, there's still a lot of people that have to arrive at that decision. It is absolutely jam-packed. Linwood Road right through the R21, mornings and afternoon delays there. A lot of traffic lights out all over Joburg. You've got William Mandela at Leslie, William Mandela in the N1, William Mandela in Sloane, three really big junctions, four-way through to Bryanston out, causing havoc getting off the N1. Queues going south into the William Mandela off-ramp from Rivonia. Queues backlogging deep into Randburg on the northbound side. Crash around Glenhove Road on the Mike 1 North, still slowing traffic, and a crash on the side of the N3 at Modderfontein Road. Means a slow trip up from Bedford via Gillies this morning. Durban to Pietermaritzburg, a reminder of very heavy delays. Two things here. A broken down truck in the roadworks at Cliffdale, so big traffic back to Cassia. Number two is make sure you check before you travel these days. Between Durban and Pietermaritzburg, you can very easily find yourself stuck going up to Cliffdale, either a truck broken down or a crash in the roadworks, one lane, and it just backs things terrifically. So check before you travel, save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money as well. M7, big delays from Queensborough down to Bel Air and Wakesley Road this morning. And Cape Town, the N1 inbound is the standout, still queuing from Blattercliff Hill all the way through to the elevated freeway. N7 quite slow as well, queuing up from Goodwood through to Bosmansdam Road. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you once again, Zai. So what is Mangoba Mneti telling us? Fagugesi is now is water under the bridge, right?
Yeah, you know, they fell to Magesi, so...
But Fagi, look, guess it's fine now, we move on.
Yeah, no more slip-ups. Time to conquer. You go from Carling to conquering Africa. And that's tonight. The Sundowns coach, Mangoba Mneti, says they cannot afford any downs when it comes to the CAF Champions League. They opened their group stage campaign at Loftus Stadium against DR Congo outfit AS Maniema Union tonight. And that's on the back of a surprise defeat to Magesi FC in that Carling knockout final over the weekend. Mneti insists Sundowns don't have any room for errors.
This one is our bread and butter, the Champions League. In the championship, we cannot afford to falter in that one. We have a big responsibility to our fans, to our board, to ourselves and our families as well, because it's one tournament that we've always been trying to win, and we have to push very hard to get to that level where we can find the team in the last match of the tournament at least, then see what will happen from there.
Now, the Orlando Pirates head coach Jose Rivero says their flawless performance in the Betway Premiership so far will have no bearing in their opening CAF Champions League game against Algeria's Liga Giants. CR Belouizdad, the two teams will lock horn at the Group C opener, Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, and that's in Algiers tonight at 8 p.m. Pirates have started well in the domestic championship with a 100% winning record in the first 7 games. Here's their coach, Jose Rivero.
This is a different competition. I don't think it's going to be, or our situation in the league is going to play a big role. I think Belouizdad is coming from time with a new coaching staff, getting better, honestly, in the last few weeks, getting a really good result the last time they played in their league. So probably all of those components are going to be more important than their current situation in the league.
And you can catch all the CAF Champions League action live on SABC Sport. Now, Kaizer Chiefs rising star Rushwin Dotley says the past few months have been a dream come true. At just 22, the defender has not only secured a starting spot under new coach Nasruddin Nabi, but has also shone for Bafana Bafana, keeping clean sheets against Uganda and South Sudan during the Africa Cup of Nations. Here's Dotley.
For me, going to Bafana and playing, it's amazing. It's a dream come true. You know, you've always watched them on TV, dreaming to play there, and eventually I get the chance to play there, you know, game after game, which is an honor for me to represent my country. And the last game now is playing in Cape Town in front of my family and friends, you know, where it all started. And, you know, it's been a real honor for me and a blessing.
Now, Kaizer Chiefs will face Richards Bay at the Peter Mokaba Stadium tomorrow. And finally, golf. The legend Tiger Woods has confirmed he will miss next week's Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas. Despite being the tournament's host, the 15-time major winner continues to battle health setbacks, including long-term back injuries and an ankle injury following his 2021 car accident. Woods, who's now 48 years old, has only played 10 events since the crash and underwent his sixth back operation earlier this year. Although he managed to compete in all 4 majors this season, his performances were underwhelming, with a best finish of 60th, and that was at the Masters. That's how we wrap it up here on the Morning Brief Sport. There'll be more sport with John Hedeka around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again, Dowling. Tell me, in aviation, tell me about SAF's, the international, troubles that they've been having. You are telling us that the sanctions decision on that has been temporarily delayed.
That's right, Sula. So Fly SAFA can breathe a sigh of relief for now. That's as the decision to sanction its international flights has been pushed back. This initially started when the International Air Services Council found Fly SAFA in violation of local licensing laws, specifically citing the airline's non-compliant shareholding structure, which contravenes foreign ownership regulations. The dispute stems from a 2019 deal in which ASL Aviation Holdings acquired a 74.8% stake in SAFA, Fly SAFA's parent company, and legal requirements in the country limit foreign ownership of local airlines to a maximum of 25%. In response to the Council's November ruling, Fly SAFA announced plans to seek an interdict. According to Fly SAFA's spokesperson, Kirby Gordon, the Council was initially set to decide on possible sanctions this week, but Gordon said that all parties, now that the matter is before the court, the November 28 deadline is no longer applicable. Gordon said that all parties involved were advised to refrain from making any statements or taking further action until the court hearing. The interdict hearing is scheduled to take place in mid-December, with the ruling expected next year. So then this means, or rather Gordon then says that this postponement, this delay has he then assured the public that international flights will not be disrupted while this hearing is pending.
I should probably go easy on teasing you around spending when I'm doubling, because people might start believing it, right?
and this time around, you're right.
Am I? Okay then. FNB expects some 3 billion rand in the spending spree over the Black Friday weekend. Are you included in that?
I'm really included, because I don't know about you, but I have multiple tabs open on my laptop, multiple tabs open on my cell phone, comparing deals across different online retail platforms and trying to score, the most affordable deals this Black Friday. And you know what? It doesn't seem like I'm the only one that will be showing with shopping, with FNB forecasting Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales to exceed 3 billion rands, driven by increasing consumer spend as South Africa's economic climate improves. Now, according to the lender's data, consumer spending has been on the rise, and the bank anticipates a significant shift towards digital payments, which will then benefit e-commerce sales on Cyber Monday. In a press release, FNB Card CEO Senzin Sibande said online sales are expected to grow by more than 10%, indicating the increasing preference towards e-commerce platforms. Conversely, traditional in-store sales and cash usage are expected to decline. Now, several economic factors are contributing to the positive outlook for Black Friday this year, including the fact that this year's Black Friday also falls after payday for many South Africans, potentially boosting, spending power as well. Additionally, reliable power supply is expected to facilitate smoother shopping experiences, both online and in store. Looking at recent trends, FNB Merchant Services has reported a strong sales indicator with 18.4 million transactions processed in October, approximately 400,000 more than the previous year's Black Friday transactions. So the the trend, picking up from October, moving into November as well. And so it expects this trend, of course, to continue with an estimated 19.5 million transactions worth that 3 billion number we've pointed out. So analysts are also upbeat about this year's Black Friday. In a News 24 article, Wim Murray of Ford Asset Management was quoted saying that the impact on the broader economy could be significant, with strong Black Friday sales potentially injecting 88 billion rands into the economy.
Yeah, because there is that side of our economic growth that depends on consumer demand. Lastly, then, Ndauling, what kind of a Tuesday are we looking at when trading resumes at the JSE, but also a sense of what's happening in the markets in Asia and the United States?
So the local bourse is in for a mixed start, being impacted by global markets. Sentiment on emerging markets really turning sour this morning, so that could put pressure on local equities. The rand also caught up in that sour sentiment, trading weaker. It's sitting at 18.11 to the greenback. Now the mood quite different in Wall Street following yesterday's rally. Futures are in the green. We likely won't see any big moves, though, as traders await the Fed minutes that will be released tomorrow. Then over in Asia, stocks are in for another mixed finish, with the Japanese Nikkei taking the biggest knock on that front following Trump's tariff threats.
Okay, yes, it's Mali. Let's leave you to get back to your many open tabs and apps and the likes and click checkout. That's Ndauling Lichela. She's been watching the business, economics, as well as the markets for you throughout the last 3 hours here on the Morning Brief.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
All right, to this now. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation has called on the South African government officials to pilot the use of electric vehicles, EVs, for their needs. The committee's chairperson, Tsakani Shiviti, has asked government to partner with vehicle manufacturers for ministers and deputy ministers to begin adopting electric vehicles in their transportation. She joins me now to take that conversation forward. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. An interesting proposition to try to start piloting and introducing the use of EVs within the government's fleet needs. What do you believe that would achieve in the current context?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Thank you so much for having me today. Could you please repeat the question?
I'm saying what's behind your proposal that government should start looking at using more electric vehicles for its own needs?
For me, it's that we are now transitioning into cleaner energies, and these are new technologies, these are new innovations for South Africa. So looking at the markets and how our markets are constructed, it's very difficult for you as government to bring in new technology and allow the private sector to run it without allowing government and government entities to run it. So ours in the portfolio committee was to say that let us be the first consumers of our innovation. If there's any innovation that is being developed, let government be the first consumer so that the other markets, the other private sectors and any other person out there can then take it from there, because government is a big market as well. So if we allow government to take it first, then it can be trusted out there.
Yeah. So just laid out for me then, what's the initial proposal in your mind? Who are the first government officials that you believe should start using electric vehicles?
For my belief, because of this is an initiative of government, and it comes from the research from research foundations, from government and from government entities. I believe that we can start with partnering, because our proposal was that let us have a partnership between DTIC, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition to partner in the rollout of this program with the vehicles companies that are producing vehicles that are transporting them, to move from oil, gas, and to hydrogen cars. If they can do that partnership, that this is what we are rolling out as government. If it's BMW that they are having a partnership with to provide them with cars that transports them, then the cars that BMW must do is UVs for them. It's electric cars for them, so that they start using those cars, and then we'll start seeing how, and we start having those trends. But not only them, there's a lot that in the transport sector that government is doing. We also have police cars, all police stations. If we can have all police stations replacing their vehicles to electric cars. We have at the health sector.
Yeah.
We need to test it with ourselves, and this is a big market we're talking about.
All right.
On the school transportation sector, and then we then come to the public sector of public transportation. Already, you will not have a competition that can come in South Africa and want to take over. We would have closed the markets.
Sure, you've gotten us thinking. Thank you for that. That's Sakani Shiviti there, who is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation. There you have it. She's calling for more use of electric vehicles. What do you think of that proposals? Those so-called, quote-unquote, blue light brigades, blue light vehicles that escort ministers, deputy ministers, I suppose the president and deputy president and everyone, police vehicles and the likes, all being converted and using electric vehicles. An interesting proposition.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still quite a bit of traffic on Joburg's Mike 1 this morning, from Boyson's, Goldridge City, all the way through to around about Smith Street, maybe Empire Road, and then more queues from sort of Houghton Drive on ramp in Parkdale all the way through to Greyston Drive. The N3 with that crash on the side of the highway at Modderfontein Road, still pretty sluggish coming up from Bedford View, and the N1 north and south queuing to get off at Winnie Mandela. A lot of lights down there, Winnie Mandela at Leslie, but the ones causing delays off the highway, Winnie Mandela and the N1 and Winnie Mandela and Sloane, three really big junctions there. N1 South stays heavy, back of the queue at Atterbury Road, all the way down to that R21 sinkhole and additional lane closures. Going out of Durban towards Pietermaritzburg, always good to check before you travel on that N3 this morning. You'll be glad if you did that. There's a major backlog again. It's a problem with the roadworks at Cliffdale. You get a breakdown or you get a crash, and all of a sudden you're down to one lane or no lanes. This morning it's a breakdown in the roadworks, one lane open, back of the queue at Shongweni. That is super heavy. The M7 from Queensborough through to Rossborough, that's quite heavy. Looks like an issue around Bel Air and Wakesley Road. And I just want to zoom up to Escort and give you a look at what's going on there. That earlier truck crash in the central Escort area has been cleared and the traffic backlog released. Cape Town, a crash on the R300 just past the N2 highway. If you're moving from Delft towards Mitchell's Plain, that will hold you up. And still a lot of traffic pressure around the Summer Greens, Montague Gardens area. Bosman's down from Deep in Port to Sucks heavy. Edgemead Drive to get into that's bad. And the N7 to get off at Bosman's down. Heavy backlogs from Goodwood. Still some rain about Cape Town, so conditions generally slow because of that. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Get ready to honor Madiba's legacy together. Join us on 8 December at the Union Buildings in Tshwane, Gauteng, as we pay tribute to Nelson Mandela with the Mandela Remembrance Walk and Run. There's a distance for everyone: 21 kilometers, 10-kilometer run, and a 5-kilometer scenic walk. Enjoy loads of entertainment and plenty of fun for the kids. If you can't be there in person, you can participate from wherever you are, uniting with thousands around the country to honor Nelson Mandela's vision of unity, equality, and a just society. All proceeds will support the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Register now at mandelawalkandrun.com. Let's come together to remember Madiba. In proud partnership with Gauteng Province, the City of Tshwane, and SABC Sport. See you there. Let's make it a day to remember.
Assurance, they understand my business. They are so good in terms of communication, which gives me confidence. It's a good decision that I've made to move to Assurance. I'm a winner. I want to be with the winners.
Switch to Business Outsurance today and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. SMS quote to 43328. That's quote to 43328 to switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
South Africa, it's time to fly. FlySafair is giving away a whopping 1 million rand in flight vouchers to help your adventures come alive in 2025. Just think, you could be one of 10 lucky winners to fly away with 100,000 rand each in flight vouchers. Oh, the places you could go, the faces you could see. Simply enter at flysafair.co.za today. And who knows, this could be your 1 in a million opportunity. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let's take a few of the voice notes we've received from you. Let's, in fact, I propose that we do it this way. Just a few on the crime stats, as well as one or two that have to do with that court case brought by the EFF and the ATM in the Constitutional Court. Let's listen to them.
Morning, Thulasizwe. Those crime statistics are a false reflection because more and more people are reluctant to go and report crimes of abuse or any other sort of crime because usually there is no justice to be had. Our courts are also corrupt, our police are corrupt, and you often face secondary victimization. So many people do not report crimes, so we shouldn't really celebrate that the crime statistics show that the crime has gone down. It hasn't.
And that's a real danger, isn't it? A loss of confidence in the criminal justice system. That really is the essence. If crimes are not seen to be dealt with properly, investigated properly, you start to have a chipping away at the confidence that people have in the system.
Thulasizwe, I'm Tagata in Cape Town. Yeah, on these 16 days of activism, I'm a man, and I was born by my daddy and my mommy. They used to fight, but I never learned anything from what they were doing to decide or to their favor. Me, I'm doing what is right in my marriage. I'm just trying to oppose that sense that if your parents were fighting, you're gonna also mimic what they were doing. There's no such thing. If there was such thing, the children who are born by the pastors and reverends supposed to be all reverends, or those who are born by teachers supposed to be teachers. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There is while there is that element of people being exposed in their early years to violence in the home and gender-based violence as one of the factors to consider, there is certainly a great element as well of one's own agency. The decisions that you consciously take. I personally have taken those decisions to say, I've seen enough violence in my life. I want none of this. So I get exactly what you are talking about. Let's take a few that have to do with the EFF court case led by the EFF and the ATM that is challenging the failure by the National Assembly, the decision by the National Assembly to move forward with the impeachment process against President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Good morning, Makocho. Kombo. I do not think that the EFF is trying to reinvent the wheel by taking Parliament's irrational decision to the Constitutional Court. What it is seeking the Constitutional Court to reaffirm its landmark case, that is the EFF versus the Speaker of the National Assembly during the Zuma era. That was a landmark case that talks about the role of Parliament in holding the executive to account and the irrationality that comes with the abuse of the majority by the governing party. So we are asking for consistency from the Constitutional Court to reaffirm its decision.
Yeah, no, I can't quibble with anything you've said there. We are all better served by these rules of engagement that ensure transparency and accountability being tested to their limits and delineated and clearly marked out as to this is where it starts, this is where it ends. I absolutely have no quibbles with that at all, and I look forward to listening to the arguments that will be presented in the Constitutional Court. Let me take one more on that theme.
Good morning, Thulas. Constitutional democracy is about the will of the people, and the will of the people, it simply means the majority of people must decide. How come Zungula is saying ANC abused its majority to block the Phala issue? Isn't that part of democracy? That you use your numbers in parliament, you debate issues. When it comes to a vote, you need numbers. How could you say you abused your majority? It doesn't make sense at all. Maybe you can assist there.
Yeah, let me try. You're absolutely right. The will of the majority prevails, but it's against the context of certain values that we've already set for ourselves, where we've said accountability matters, where we've said transparency matters. Those who wield public power must show a certain standard of behavior or be held accountable. The three arms of government doing their checks and balances. So while you are doing your majority rules, at the same time, you've got to be promoting these interests. And I think that's as best as I can try to answer that question. That says it's not always about the majority. The majority could be pushing in the wrong direction. And therefore, as the voice note just before was talking about that landmark case in the EFF case in the previous parliament, those are the considerations that say, what is the role of parliament beyond just pushing what the majority wants? It's also to ensure that the executive is held to account. So a nice, fine balancing act between majority rules, that being tempered by those principles and, those values that we hold so closely in the Constitution.
Morning. This is Anonymous from Durban. This Phala thing, yeah, is not gonna... Even this EFF, they cannot do nothing about it. No one will ever do anything about it. These people have money. They control the law. It favors them. Yeah, nothing we can do.
Let's see what comes out of the Constitutional Court. And that's exactly the danger that we've been talking about, where people feel disillusioned and feel that their interests are not represented. Let's hope that we will continue to see the rule of law being vindicated. Let's take one last one. I want to end off maybe on a positive note. Hopefully, I don't know. Let's listen to this one about the festive season.
Morning, Thulas. It's Tuelo in Galeshwe, Kimberley, in the Northern Cape. Thulas, I hear the stats, but for me, I don't feel any safer because of our young people are still indulging in drugs, and this drugs leads to many things. So for me, the minister's report is not a true reflection. If only they can start in this festive season by making roadblocks, because it's where now the drug cartels are being trafficked from left, right to center, suppliers. We need to get the same energy we are putting in for those Stilfonteins illegal miners, having police 24 hours there. Same must apply for the drugs in this festive.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's not the positive note I was hoping for, but that's all right. It is all right. These are the conversations that we do need to keep pushing on this program. And that's how we come to the end of today's edition of the Morning Brief. Thank you for listening, and thanks to the team that put it all together. The Talking Point with Kathy Mutlatlana is up next here on SAFM, but that's after the news. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43187 now.
In our top stories, EFF to picket outside the Constitutional Court And election materials dispatched to all regions in Namibia. Good morning. EFF leader Julius Malema says the ANC and the MK party will not be allowed to join this morning's march to the Constitutional Court. This comes as the EFF is scheduled to hold a picket outside the Constitutional Court ahead of the Phala matter. The EFF will challenge Parliament's decision to forego an impeachment investigation into President Cyril Ramaphosa on Phala at the Constitutional Court. Malema elaborates.
We are marching to the Constitutional Court with everyone except MKP. The MKP won't be part of our march. If they want to march, they must go and organize their own. But ATM and even ANC can't join us. It's our march. And any other person that has been opposed to Phala can join the EFF march, starting from Mary Fitzgerald Square.
Meanwhile, the pre-trial hearing of the three accused in the February 2020 theft at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm is expected to start today in the Modimolle Regional Court in Limpopo. Emmanuela David Floriana and Ndilina Shaw Joseph allegedly broke into Ramaphosa's farm and stole over $580,000 stuffed in a sofa. Accused number 1 David was denied bail as is deemed a flight risk. Rendani Ralipaswa reports.
The siblings, Florian and Ndilina Joseph, have each been released on 5,000 rand and 10,000 rand bail respectively. Accused number 2, Floriana, was a domestic worker at the farm. Floriana is suspected to have tipped off the other accused about the dollars.
Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chilwane says health and environment authorities have cleared the school nutrition program regarding foodborne illnesses at the Tabisile Primary School in Diepkloof in Soweto. Members of the Provincial Education Department visited the school following the death of an 8-year-old grade 2 learner in hospital on Friday. She fell ill last Wednesday after she allegedly ate biscuits from a local spaza shop. Chilwane says the department, together with the family, are waiting for the autopsy report.
In principle, we must really wait for the post-mortem and really get a sense of what could have led to this. I know there was an allegation of the nutrition in our schools. That one needs to be dismissed as early as possible. It can't be one child who will not fit in the whole school. You know, if there's something wrong, it should have been at least even 5 kids who could have said that maybe there's something with the food that we're giving our children. So in the school, there's no child that really experienced any of these side effects at all.
A study commissioned by the National Treasury into the state of the country's procurement framework has found the public procurement system remains inadequate and vulnerable to fraud. The study was conducted by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the African Development Bank, World Bank and others. It recommends the establishment of an anti-corruption body to restore integrity. Notando Magudulela reports.
The assessment was conducted over the period July 2023 to April 2024 by the OECD, African Development Bank and World Bank in cooperation with South Africa's National Treasury. The stakeholders say South Africa's public procurement at its current state is vulnerable to fraud and corruption. It says the system requires better monitoring and controlling systems. It also recommended that South Africa build on a strong and independent anti-corruption body.
And finally, the CEO of the Electoral Commission in Namibia, Pieter Sharma, says the Commission has been able to resolve the labour dispute with some of the staff members who went on strike demanding payment. Speaking to the media in Windhoek, Sharma says they've started to deliver the electoral materials ahead of the polls tomorrow. He says the electoral body stands ready.
Polling stations will open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the evening, and every effort has been made to ensure a seamless voting experience from the Commission side. Remember to carry out your voter card. Without a voter's card, you cannot exercise your democratic right.
Recapping the top story, the EFF leader Julius Malema says the ANC and the MK party will not be allowed to join this morning's march to the Constitutional Court. This comes as the EFF is scheduled to hold a picket outside the Constitutional Court ahead of the Phala matter. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a code today, SMS CAR to 43187. That's CAR to 43187.
Mzansi, harmful behaviors that lead to gender-based violence and femicide must be unlearned and replaced with positive and respectful actions. Positive actions begin at home with little things. How we speak, how we act, and how we handle conflict. It's about understanding that respect is a non-negotiable right for everyone. We can break the cycle of gender-based violence and femicide, and we must start now. I am Thulasizwe Simelane, Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I encourage every South African to join in the fight to end gender-based violence beyond the 16 days of activism campaign. A gender-based violence and femicide-free South Africa is possible.
Black Friday is finally here. Get a discount from Monday 25th November to Sunday 1st December. Save 115 Rand on Pampers, nappies or pants. Now 184 Rand 99 per pack. Plus, get 2 free wipes when you buy 4. Save 115 Rand on Bepanthen Baby Nappy Care Ointment 100 grams, now only 169 Rand 99. Get Baby Things 100 nappies for just 189 Rand 99. T's and C's apply. Save big with Dis-Chem's Black Friday deals. Better health starts here.
Ever tried to paint a wall with only your brush? Or hung a picture on just a nail and a prayer? The contestants on My Design Rules will be the first to tell you good design starts with the right tools. Tune in to My Design Rules every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC3 and stand a chance to win a weekend away in the winning apartment. From beginner projects to expert builds, Puco has the tools and materials you need to get the job done. Ready to kickstart your next DIY project? Begin with Puco.
Puco. Imagine if every child born today and tomorrow and the next day and the next had enough love, enough food, enough safety and brain power. Today and tomorrow and the next day and the next. Together, we will change our future. Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Outsurance Essential is low-cost insurance for older cars. Annalie, a 39-year-old woman, pays only 291 Rand a month for her 2,005 Hyundai Gets 1.5. With Outsurance Essential, accident claims are paid in cash, so you can choose the panel beater you want to use. Top this up with the motor warranty, which covers you for mechanical or electrical breakdowns. Get saving with Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS CAR to 43187. That's CAR to 43187 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
The Talking Point on SAFM. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday. You are listening to KG Mwekezi on SAFM.
I went to school on a little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, on my day before I started university, I was in the hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, "Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day. And if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what." And she says, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the Student Union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinerama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinerama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face and you looked at my mom and my dad and you said, look at that, look at that. First day away from home and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm going to miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I've searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, you've been an incredibly important person in my life, was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? We've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one.
It's a simple idea, and it's not a small one. Drew Dudley is a dynamic leader and speaker and author, and leads us into our opening motivation. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We're calm. It's Tuesday. We're coming to you live from inside the Gauteng legislature in the Johannesburg CBD, where the Gauteng MEC for Finance and Economic Development, Lebogang Maile, is today, this Tuesday, presenting the province's 2024 medium-term budget policy statement and the adjustment budget to the legislature. This year's budget comes at the start of the 7th administration term of office. Therefore, MEC Maile will use the mini-budget to set the tone and outline the priorities of the Gauteng government and how public funds will be used to strengthen the economic growth and create jobs and boost the fiscus over the medium term. We'll bring you some of the commentary from the opposition and the MEC himself, should he be available. But we are there. We are in a room there, and we're going to, outside of that, do our best to make sure that the other parts of the program go about as they usually do. And we're going to open the lines, of course, for you between now and 10 o'clock on the 086 000 2032 number. Welcome to the Talking Point. It's Tuesday, the 26th of November. On the 086 000 2032 number is where you will join the conversations whenever you want to, as we lead the conversations that move you. 086 000 2032. The SMS line would remain 41391 41391 at 150 to you. The WhatsApp line 061 410 4107 061 410 4107. On X we are at SFM Radio and hashtag SFM Talking Point whenever you talk to us. After 10, Personal Finance with Brian Hirsch remains. It's the last Tuesday of the month. Brian is going to deal with answering the questions that have been submitted to him during the month of November. He's going to pick out all of those questions of a similar nature and deal with them.